In my life from different places, like a space cadet. Folks on planet Earth act like love's the hardest thing to get to. Spirit must reside in my flesh because the sunlight's here. People of a strong nation, we must strive to manifest truth. I listen to the birds sweetly sing out that the time is now. Calling on the strength of the palm trees, Babylon must fall down. But where do I begin? Can't start from where I've been. I'll be walking the roadway for some strange reason. Can't see where I'm heading, but I knew just yesterday I heard of an angel that's supposed to guide our souls back home. But my main intention is that we grow to sprout our own wings. Spirit of the heart, independent of the negative. Free of time and space, out of limits where the peaceful tone sings. History repeats itself, swinging us from right to left. We're headed for the ending if this thing called love is neglected. Do I begin? Love can't be neglected. Start from where I've been. I'll be walking the road, enjoying the struggle. For some strange reason, keep all your eyes open. See where I'm heading. But I knew just yesterday.
What's good? What's good? What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 721 of the Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy. We're going to talk Psyche. We're going to rock with Rael tonight on this one. It's a lot. There's been a lot of observation in social media that's kind of led up to this particular subject, this topic for tonight. I would say maybe over the past 3 weeks or so. Definitely at the onset of Kevin Samuels' passing, rest in peace to him. Just kind of seeing the collective psyche of Black folks on display, whether it's content creators, whether it's celebrities, whether it's the reactions, right? Whether it's the content creators' reactions to the celebrities or the people in the comments. There's a lot to be said about what is being put on display in terms of the modern day human psyche. So I wanted to kind of preface it in that manner because there has to be something behind the behavior. There has to be something. In the description, we define the definition of psyche is in the description, and it's defined as the human soul, mind, or spirit. So, Raul, you there?
I'm here, Chief.
Let's talk about it, man.
Give me a quick second.
Got it. Because this is something we said we took our time with this one, man. Raul, he got the books ready. I think he's grabbing a couple more because we're gonna have to deep dive into this. Because going based off the definition, psyche is the human mind, spirit, or soul. So we're gonna get to the crux of what that's about and what it is that we're seeing put on display out here in terms of behavior and talking points, messages, narratives, right? Ideologies, memes. Like, are we really truly questioning the quality of the people that's putting this shit out here? You got to really think about who you follow. Think about that word, follow. Who are you following? Are you sure that that person is a-okay upstairs? I don't know. It's a lot of people out here. I'm not sure if they, all the gears are turning. I'm not really sure. Based on what I'm observing, what Rael is observing, and based on our conversations, our observations of what we see and what we notice, there is a lot of, I don't want to say, I don't even want to, I don't know if the word is broken. I'm not sure.
Salute, boss. It's good, man.
Yo, ready?
Yeah, man. Um, Salute to founding members of the Black Brain Trust.
Yo, hey, is it a little loud, man?
You could
Down a little bit.
lower it a little bit.
All right, bet.
Since her notes are kind of high.
No, you good.
Salute to later contributing members of the Black Brain Trust.
Yes, sir.
Salute to the chat. Um, Salute to friends and even to the enemies.
Salute to y'all. Salute to y'all.
Even enemies can learn something today.
They may not be enemies after today.
After today, there's going to be today is going to be a reckoning. For good, for positive. After today, after tonight, there is going to be, for truly people who truly embrace the information, there's going to have to be a lot of soul searching. There's going to have to be a lot of self-reflection regarding individuals, looking at your family dynamics differently. Because we hear terms like man and woman get bandied about and just tossed around as if being not psychologically, physically a man and a woman in terms of actually growing to that stature physically indicates that you're dealing with a man and a woman. And that's not true. That's contrary. We all know people who, and we've seen them on display in these spaces, who could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s even, who do not represent what would be deemed as true masculinity and true femininity. Some people might try to put on airs as if they represent that, but they truly don't represent what that truly means. So tonight we want to delve into this topic of psyche and the whole PowerPoint that I worked on last couple of days. We've been talking about doing this stream probably for the last maybe month and a
Yeah,
half
it's
now.
about a month. Yeah.
Um, but schedules, busy, different things. We haven't been able to really get this done. I was sick the past week, and I was finally able to get over this cold that I had. So we now can, somewhat delve into this topic and give people kind of a basic understanding of um, what what constitutes masculinity and femininity and how you get to that point. This notion that you just grow into manhood and womanhood is false. Manhood and womanhood is something that you have to be initiated into. And I think that's one of the most important things that people need to take from this particular discussion. I want to start with a woman I truly have really an affection for. I found this woman reading a book called The Sacred Prostitute. And when her name was mentioned, I decided to look up and see the things that she had written, and was able to find out that she was actually a student up under
Carl Jung.
Carl Jung. Her name is Marie Louise von Franz. And she wrote a book called, make sure I get the name right.
Do you have links for the books too?
Yeah, I'll put them in.
Okay.
I'll put them in at the end.
Okay, cool.
Called Archetypal Dimensions of the Psyche. We will delve into a topic many people don't really give much thought to, and that's the topic of psyche. Much of the issues we have in society, especially regarding the confusion regarding gender, rests on this not so much talked about phenomenon, which is crucial in understanding human development. But first, we must define what psyche is. According to Marie Louise von Franz, she states, the unconscious atmosphere of the family milieu is even more influential than the conscious pedagogical behavior of the parents as it relates to the influences we all have coming up as children. This leads us into the phenomenon of archetypes, which Jung defined as universal inborn models of people, behaviors, and personalities that play a role in influencing human behavior. Emotions, which in my view are the driving force behind human behavior, contribute archetypal experiences, whether it's the emotion of envy or happiness, and how each emotion contributes to either the well-being through the emotion of happiness of one's lived experience, or the utter despair one feels when one feels one is on the outside of life, as is the case with people who are envious. Another concept we need to familiarize ourselves with regarding phenomena such as archetypes is zeitgeist. Von Franz states, the zeitgeist sum of collective shared outlooks, feelings, and ideas of a generation or a historical period. For example, the zeitgeist of the Renaissance or the zeitgeist of the Enlightenment. Von Franz mentions this phenomenon because she states that as a psychologist, one always has to be acquainted with the entire historical background of a person so as to understand him or her better. This means that an individual's development is part collective consciousness, a particular group's worldview or ethos, and an individual's personal worldview and ethos. She states further that for Jung, archetypes are inherited, inborn structural dispositions with respect to the species specific modes of behavior of human beings. One aspect of these modes is that of an action. They express themselves in typical actions similar in all human beings and thus are instinctive. Um, in a nutshell, basically, we're all born with the capacity to be vengeful, hateful, jealous, envious, nice, kind,
Helping.
happy, helping. Basically, humans have the capacity. Human beings have the capacity for goodness and for evil. So that's what she's getting at here. But beyond this action level, these instincts also have a form of expression that can only be perceived inwardly with the psyche. That is in feelings, emotions, mythical fantasy images, and mythical primal ideas which take similar form in all human beings. The archetypes are the primal elements of the mind and of the various cultures. Whenever this profound collective stratum is activated in an individual, it can become either a source of creative structuring and new spiritual realizations, or if something goes wrong, it can become a source of pathological states and actions. For years, one of the things humans designed to help man and woman develop their psyche in healthy ways were rites of passages. Otherwise, societies would have males and females who were not properly initiated into their roles in society and how they view the world. This could have a profound impact on the interactions between men and women. Marion Woodman notes in her book, Addicted to Perfection, masculinity and femininity have nothing to do with being locked into a male or female body.
Oh, wait a minute. Say that again.
Masculinity and femininity have nothing to do with being locked into a male or female body. If we are biologically female, the ego is feminine, and we carry within us our own inner masculinity, what Jung calls the animus. If we are biologically male, the ego is masculine, and the man carries within himself his own inner femininity, the anima. Masculinity and femininity are not matters of gender, though historically in our Western culture, their long identification with gender still makes it difficult for us to view them in this liberated way. It is a matter of psychic rather than biological. If not properly initiated into masculinity and femininity, societies run the risk of having men view the world from a feminine perspective and women viewing the world from a masculine perspective, unleashing untold levels of destruction mentally from improperly developed psyches which play out in different pathologies. For example, in Addicted to Perfection, the still unravished bride, In her usage of Lady Macbeth as an archetype, Marian Woodman writes, Lady Macbeth, glued to the sticking place of insatiable power, unable to countenance failure to the point of rejecting life, will serve as a symbol of the woman robbed of her femininity through her pursuit of masculine goals that are in themselves a parody of what masculinity really is.
Hmm.
And though in Shakespeare's tragedy it is Macbeth who is beheaded, the head he loses is fatally infected by the witch's evil curse. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are metaphors of the masculine and feminine principles functioning in one person or in a culture, and the deteriorating relationship between them clearly demonstrates the dynamics of evil when a masculine principle loses its standpoint in its own reality, and the feminine principle of love succumbs to calculating, intellectualized ambition.
So Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are two sides of the same coin operating in the same person.
Yes, basically what she's saying is that they represent certain archetypes of a male and a female not truly having the right type of psyche, so they could develop in a proper way in terms of being the proper kind of man and the proper kind of woman. So basically, in a nutshell, is that in a way the male had a more female centric psyche, and his wife had
The
a
male.
more masculine centric view.
It's
She
funny, man.
chose she chose she chose she chose power over love.
He chose love over power.
So yeah, in a nutshell. So I've referenced this show before. It's called Once Upon a Time. It's a show that ABC has. It's a great show that really, what I love about the show is a cast that's really driven by women, and you get to see women this play out all the time. You get to see women who are constantly choosing, thirsting for power over love, and seeing the calamities that befall them because they're choosing to go after something that they shouldn't be going after, because of what they're supposed to represent in their true role, in their true feminine role.
Right.
Um, Woodman notes the dangers of having a woman who does not understand how self-destructive her thirst for power can be. Her insightful commentary allows the reader to see from a feminine view a very important vantage point to speak from. How corrupted a woman's world becomes when she tries to adopt modern patriarchy, which we will see later as very problematic, as her ethos. Woodman makes a very important delineation of the difference between positive masculine energy and positive feminine energy. She writes, quote, as human creatures, not gods, we must go for the gray. The steady, solid line that makes its serpentine way only slightly to left and right, down the middle course between the opposites, meaning between masculine and feminine energy in terms of balance. And that's the differentiated ego, whether male or female, cutting a course between wind and water. Positive masculinity energy is goal oriented and has the strength of purpose to move toward that goal. It disciplines itself to make the most of its gifts, physical, intellectual, spiritual, attempting to bring them into harmony. It comes to recognize its own individuality, and paradoxically, the stronger it becomes, the less rigid it becomes and the more flexible. It does not have to depend on old patterns of behavior, old habits, old traditions, which is something that definitely our group has a problem with as a collective. The notion that younger generations don't have answers to age-old problems, which truly what we have seen, especially from the fairy tale perspective, which is really uh, is a way to tell the story about human experiences. Um, that usually is what happens in a lot of fairy tales. Like the younger generation typically tends to conquer the old collective consciousness of the previous generation.
What's that saying? All empires must fall.
Right. Um, with growing confidence, it experiences the excitement of new modes of behavior, the continuing unfolding of new energies. It learns to hold perfect tension between a firm standpoint and the surrender to the creative feminine forces within. This is what she's saying about positive masculinity. It seeks its goal. um, but in seeking its goal in terms of pursuit of goals, um, dreams that you want to bring into um, manifestation, um, the pursuit within itself is literally a surrendering of, I would say, she says surrendering, but more like a melding of the masculinity within with with femininity in terms of what she's talking about, the creative forces. Um, it's just I love the way she balances the two with that, and saying that the more you are more of a positive, you demonstrate a positive masculinity, the less rigid you are, the easier you actually will be able to work with and actually, in a lot of ways, attract, you know, women sometimes who can actually even open doors for you as a man. I know me and you, we talk about business all the time, and we know the power of that because we have seen that in our own experiences as far as business.
Yeah,
We
no,
know
I
that.
mean, we were talking about it, and I was telling you, why, okay, it's not really an objectification type of thing, but a woman's, okay, a woman's beauty does have value to a man outside of something like sexual,
Right,
right? A woman's value in terms of beauty can be realized and actualized through business as well.
right. Um, hold on, I want to look up something quick.
And I hope all y'all are having a good evening and you're staying cool because it was a hot one today.
Oh my God, yes. She goes on to say, in reference to positive masculinity, its penetrating power inseminates and releases the creativity of the feminine. The feminine is a vast ocean of eternal being. It was, is, and shall be. It contains the primordial animals, red and tooth claw. It contains the potential seeds for life. It knows the laws of nature and exacts those laws with ruthless justice. It lives in the eternal now. It has its own rhythm, slower than those of the masculine, meandering, moving in a spiral. Hold on one second. Okay, so make sure. It finds what is meaningful to it and plays. It may work very hard. This is in terms of the positive feminine. It may work very hard, but its attitude is always one of play because it loves life. It loves, and if that love is penetrated by the positive masculine, its energies are released to flow into life with a constant flow of new hope, new faith, new dimensions of love. But the spiritual feminine is always grounded in the natural instinct so that no matter how spiritualized it becomes, it is always on the side of life. In this, it is different from the over spiritualized masculine in man or woman, which tends to seduce us into sleep that ends the heartache. That flesh is heir to. In both these passages, Woodman successfully separates the masculine worldview from the feminine worldview, which is why we can see why it can be so self-destructive, leading to human pathologies in both genders when man or woman adopts worldviews counter to the essence of their very beings.
Man,
Human
wait.
life is fraught with many dangers from a psychic perspective, and sometimes externally when either gender assumes each other's psyche. This is why I mentioned earlier the importance of rites of passages because of what they represent to psychic development for boys and girls.
Right. I was gonna say, like, I don't want to jump the shark here, but like in a nutshell, man, you see that play out
Yes.
on social media. You see it play out, particularly on Black YouTube, like in a fucking nutshell, bro. But I'm not gonna jump the shark, man. Go ahead.
No, if you got something to add, go ahead, man.
No. I mean, because dude, like when you said that, I'm like, oh, perfect example. I could just start naming them.
Oh yeah,
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to jump the shark, right? Because we're gonna get to that part. So we're good. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I've talked about this book before. It's a very powerful book. It's called Rites and Symbols of Initiation: The Mysteries of Birth and Rebirth by Mircea Eliade.
Mm-hmm.
Eliade writes, it is through the initiation rite, because we're going to cover the aspects of certain aspects of initiation for boys and girls to show the difference of what they represent.
Right.
It is through the initiation rite that the man of the traditional societies comes to know and to assume this image. Obviously, there are numerous types and countless variations of initiation, corresponding to different social structures and cultural horizons. But the important fact is that all pre-modern societies, that is, those that lasted in Western Europe to the end of the Middle Ages and in the rest of the world to the First World War, accord primary importance to the ideology and techniques of initiation. The term initiation, in the most general sense, denotes a body of rites and oral teachings whose purpose is to produce a decisive alteration in the religious and social status of the person to be initiated. In philosophical terms, initiation is equivalent to a basic change in existential condition. The novice emerges from his ordeal endowed with a totally different being from that which he possessed before his initiation. He has become another. So prior to initiation, you're one type of being as a boy. Post initiation, you are completely a new being.
Yeah, life altering experience.
I mean, that's critical for people to understand. That's critical.
You don't revert after that shit.
No.
Whatever you saw, whatever you had to go through, whatever they put you through, right? You're not gonna be the same after that shit.
Psychologically, if you fully embrace your initiation, you can't go back.
You can't go back.
You can't. Like it's impossible.
What they say? Even What was that gang term? Blood in, blood out.
Right, right. Which are examples of pseudo initiation.
Yeah.
Among the various categories of initiation, the puberty initiation is particularly important for an understanding of pre-modern man. These transition rites are obligatory for all the youth of the tribe. To gain the right, listen to this, to gain the right to be admitted among adults, the adolescent has to pass through a series of initiatory ordeals. It is by virtue of these rites and of the revelations that they entail that he will be recognized as a responsible member of the society. We're not talking about people who are 30, 35, 40 years old. Initiation rites were for boys.
12, 11,
I think people
10 years
really
old.
need to understand what I'm saying here. You were expected to be a man. It didn't matter what your age was. You were expected to be a man once you were initiated through those rituals. It didn't matter if you were 10, it didn't matter if you were 12. And it is something that I have said to a lot of women out here, especially women with sons. To you, he might be your baby. But in the world is going to view him as a young man.
Yep.
And if he does not have the proper tutelage, when he interfaces with men, it can get ugly.
Real quick.
It can get real ugly, as we have seen countless black males interactions out here in society.
Or on YouTube even.
Right.
Because I'll bring it to the micro. We can go macro, micro. We see it. Right.
So there's a difference between being male and man. Male is something that you just naturally are by birth because you was born that way. Manhood is something you have to be initiated into. That's the difference. And that is only the charge of men. Women do not decide what masculinity is. Men do. This is why if you're a daughter and you have a father, and when you start getting of age where boys start showing you attention, this is why your father is very protective of you, because he doesn't want you with a boy. He wants you with a man. He understands what you need. He understands that a boy is going to play with you, but a man is going to lead you, because that's what you need. Initiation introduces the candidate into the human community and into the world of spiritual and cultural values. He learns not only the behavior patterns, the techniques, and the institutions of adults, but also the sacred myths and traditions of the tribe, the names of the gods and the history of their works. Above all, he learns the mystical relations between the tribe and the supernatural beings, as those relations were established at the beginning of time. Not only was and is initiation about initiating you into your masculinity, but it's also about connecting you to your creator. The mythical stories of people told by men were all about connecting the boys back to the source of their origins. This is why when you see, let's say if you see a movie where, let's say it's a movie about Vikings, for example, you will hear them constantly talking about the Great Hall and Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Because their masculinity is tied directly into Odin and how they cannot shame themselves by being cowards, by disappointing Odin. And they will gladly fight and die in the name of making Odin proud of them. This is a very important point to conceptualize. Once a boy has been initiated by ritual into his masculinity, according to Eliot, he has become a different being. From a psyche standpoint, the boy has been transformed into a man regarding his responsibility towards himself in terms of inner development, but also to the group. I can't stress enough that the purpose of initiation is to transform the boy into a member of society. This is critical. These rites' specific purpose is to initiate men into the behaviors that will make responsible men to themselves and society overall. In one aspect, the initiation is spiritual or religious, but in another aspect, it's cultural. Not only is your expected behavior tied into the elders who went before you, who usher you into your role by rites of passage, by rites of initiation, but your rites are spiritually tied into the cosmos, into the very beginnings of creation itself, regarding your group's primordial origins.
Because it all comes down from something, right?
Right.
Like it's not like, okay, a ritual just kind of doesn't just come out of thin air, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's like it's a right since time immemorial,
Right.
right? And okay, it's the whole concept of it.
Right. You're literally one with the gods and goddesses you are believed to originate from, born with the divine spark of creation itself. Eliot writes, every primitive society possesses a consistent body of mythical traditions, a conception of the world, and it is this conception that is gradually revealed to the novice in the course of his initiation. What is involved is not simply instruction in the modern sense of the word. In order to become worthy of the sacred teaching, the novice must first be prepared spiritually. For what he learns concerning the world and human life does not constitute knowledge in the modern sense of the term, objective and compartmentalized information, subject to indefinite correction and addition. The world is the work of supernatural beings, a divine work, and hence sacred in its very structure. Man lives in a universe that is not only supernatural in origin, but is no less sacred in its form, sometimes even in substance. The world has a quote-unquote history. First, its creation by supernatural beings, then everything that took place after that, the coming of the civilizing hero or the mythical ancestor, their cultural activities, their demiurgic adventures, and at last their disappearance. The elements of an initiation ritual, clearly from a standpoint of psyche, are about psychologically orienting the boy into viewing himself as one who has a divine responsibility in fulfilling his masculine potential.
That's why you gotta put a gun in a boy's hand at a young age, man.
This shit is powerful, man. Your masculinity,
Like,
your masculinity is divinity.
That is it. That's why I'm like the younger. Look. Hey man, real. I was telling you, like I got my young bros, man. I got into motorsport. Where I was saying like, okay, it that you can get if you can get a young boy's fear of speed, the younger you can break him out of that.
Right.
Like he's fearless.
Right.
He's
Right.
fearless. You see Christian Daniel Jr. over in
Yeah.
Spain on the
Right.
bike, right?
Yeah.
He has no fear throwing the bike around the track at close to 100 miles an hour.
I mean, wicked.
No fear, none.
None.
And that's what we're talking about.
No fear. These rituals prove that the leaders of these rituals didn't view existence as meaningless at all. Quite the contrary. These rituals show that your masculine identity in terms of psyche is inseparable from creation itself. Me personally, I would say that your embracing of masculinity itself by its very nature is a divine act. As Eliot states further, initiatory death, because once you be involved in the initiation process, it's a death that's about to take place.
For those of y'all that are of the maybe let's just say the Masonic bent, if you do that, that's called the ritual Hiram Abiff. What Ryle was just talking about right there, rebirth through death,
Yeah.
while you're still living.
Right. Initiatory death provides the clean slate on which will be written the successive revelation, whose end is the formation of a new man. But now we must note that this new life is conceived as the true human existence, for it is open to the values of spirit. What is understood by the generic term culture, comprising all the values of spirit, is accessible only to those who have been initiated. Hence, participation in spiritual life is made possible by virtue of the religious experiences released during initiation. Eliot goes on to say, all the rites of rebirth or resurrection and the symbols that they imply indicate that the novice has attained to another mode of existence, inaccessible to those who have not undergone the initiatory ordeals, who have not tasted death. We must note this characteristic of the archaic mentality, the belief that a state cannot be changed without first being annihilated in the present instance without the child's dying to childhood. It is impossible to exaggerate the importance of this obsession with beginnings, which in sum is the obsession with the absolute beginning, the cosmogony, the science that deals with the origin of universe, especially the solar system. Initiatory death is indispensable for the beginning of spiritual life.
You know what, man? I kind of want to stay out of here, but I do want to kind of correlate. I want to correlate like when they talk about like what they do to kids in Hollywood and shit, right? That creating altars in the mind, right? Like basically shifting a child from their childlike state into adulthood artificially, though, right?
Artificially,
For
yes.
for purposes of performance, so to
Yes.
speak, acting.
Mhm.
It's a very insidious, very that's a very evil practice. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Its function must be understood in relation to what it prepares. Birth to a higher mode of being. For archaic thought, then man is made. He does not make himself all by himself. It is the old initiatives, the spiritual masters who make him. But these masters apply what was revealed to them at the beginning of time by the supernatural beings. They are only the representatives of those beings. They are only, in many cases, they incarnate them. This is as much as to say that in order to become a man, it is necessary to resemble a mythical model. Man,
You have to. I'm sorry, dude. No, I was just gonna say you. God damn, you have to have the audacity to think that there's some you are actually more than human. Like you got to have that fucking audacity.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to like because you coming out the book and then I'm like, all right, let me try to like throw another spin on it, right?
Because I'm gonna address that too. Like,
okay, go ahead.
How when you do have that audacity,
yeah,
how you hear things that we hear in this group, like, who do you think you are?
Right, exactly.
That's the recognition of people who know.
There we go. All right,
who you are.
Go ahead.
Man recognizes himself as such. That is, as man to the extent to which he is no longer a natural man, to which he is made a second time in obedience to a paradigmatic and transhuman canon. This dying to childhood is a concept we must caution ourselves to remain aware of. The bridge in which the child or boy psyche dies and man's psyche is born is absolutely critical because it is a state of limbo that can mimic the darkness of the womb in terms of internal development. Prenatal existence by its very nature is dangerous and not guaranteed, and initiation rites are not set in stone. The initiate has to accept the challenge of what elder men who have been properly initiated into their manhood require to be amongst them and their creator. As Eliot puts it.
Did you just say elder men who have been properly initiated themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Just want to make sure we highlight these key points, right?
And I'm glad you stepped in on that because I wanted to address that as well.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Black people overall, but Black men specifically, do not take the advice of old men just because they're old. That is a very dangerous proposition for you to do. I don't care what their title is. Civil rights leader, master teacher, PhD professor. Those are just titles. They need to be properly
mere titles.
Right. They need to be properly initiated. There need to be men who can vouch for them. It's not enough to just give you information. True initiation is when men are showing you how to do it. When men typically wanted to learn a trade, what did they do?
Apprenticeship.
They went and studied under a man. They didn't study under a man who read a book about it, who could teach you from a theoretical perspective. Because technically, what they might be saying, if they got it from a book from somebody who was in the craft, technically what they're saying is right and exact. But have they applied it? Have they applied it? Who would you rather learn from? Somebody who wrote a book about business, or somebody who was actually in business and know how to do it.
Who did it? Who can tell you the ins and outs? Who can show you every goddamn thing?
You know what I'm saying? As Eliot puts it, through initiation, the candidate passes beyond the natural mode, the mode of the child, and gains access to the cultural mode. Cultural mode, that is, he is introduced to spiritual values. From a certain point of view, it could almost be said that for the primitive world, it is through initiation that men attain the status of human beings. Before initiation, they do not yet fully share in the human condition, precisely because they do not yet have access to the religious life. This is why initiation represents a decisive experience for any individual who is a member of a pre-modern society. And for the record, if I reference something here that uses the word primitive, I don't use primitive in a negative sense when I say it. This is why initiation represents a decisive experience for any individual who is a member of a pre-modern society. It is a fundamental existential experience because through it, a man becomes able to assume his mode of being in its entirety. Many of us are familiar with the term mama's boy, which indicates a boy who is not separated psychologically from the way his mother views the world. Obviously, this will be debilitating for the development of the boy's psyche unless he is placed under the stewardship of men ready to initiate him into his masculinity.
You gotta break that. You gotta break that bond.
Now, let me stop right there.
Go ahead.
Now, this is absolutely critical. For any women out here with sons, for any women out here who know friends who have sons, you can't complain about the state of men when y'all want your sons to forever be your babies. Because what y'all are doing, you're cultivating boys into being male versions of you when they become adults. Because they have not seen life through a man's eye. For men like myself, Complex, and others who grew up around men, it's a completely different orientation. Completely different. And this is why in spaces like these, this is why there's such a fight. See, most people are constantly focused on maybe black men, they're always arguing with each other, this and that and forth. No, what you need to understand is that the psyche of actual men who grew up around men are going to be completely different than the psyche of males who grew up around women.
We're perfectly fine button heads.
We have to butt heads.
Okay, we're perfectly fine with that shit.
And it has nothing to do with beef. It has everything to
literally
do
nothing.
It has everything to do with making sure the younger generation actually sees what men truly are and what a male is who tries to project to the world that he's a man. Those are two different things. Two completely different things. Just because he looks like a man does not mean he's a man. Women can tell us themselves how they have dealt with males who look like men who were childish. So women know this. And guess what? Most likely, those males who are childish, guess who they was raised by? A female. Because you can't be that way around your dad.
Yeah, it's not. That ain't happening. I'm just that's default. It ain't happening.
I grew up with my father.
Bullshit. Not happening.
Look, it ain't going.
This is not happening. This is not even a conversation.
Your dad is not gonna sit there like I've seen females in public with their crying ass sons that I can't stand.
Man, let me tell you something, man.
Ooh.
That you never, man. Listen, dude. Oh my God.
It just
Bro,
because we know that boy is gonna be the future, and who is he gonna defend and protect being a crybaby? Nobody.
And you remember I was telling you, man, about the time I was at the football game.
Yeah. Yep.
And that little boy, he wanted to smoke with that kid, I guess from their game from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran up on that boy who was with his mom. You know, he the Latino boy that was with his mom, this little brother. And I'm just like, this little nigga ain't got no home training. You go, first of all, man, you don't run up on somebody with their mom.
Period.
Like, we not showing respect for adults. That's the first thing, right? And the second thing was she couldn't, as an adult, talk sense into him because he was still over here trying to press her son. And like I said, her son had about 4 inches on him and about 30 pounds. About to take him to Pound Town. Okay, especially when you run up on me in front of I'm with my mom's nigga. Okay, now that's when I told you, man. I was like, hold up. I was on the phone with V, and I was like, hold up. And I looked at, man. I gave him that old nigga stare. Like, if you don't take your ass on. There's a bathroom over there. I'm gonna take you over in there, and I'm gonna have a conversation with your little ass, right? But we didn't even have to go there, nigga. That look, it was like, hey man, hey, his little buddy was like, hey man, come on. I was like, yeah, you better go. Your little ass, man. What the fuck is wrong with you?
If you've never been around a man in your life as a boy or girl. And you never heard a man say, sit your ass down.
Sit your ass down.
You didn't grow up in the right home. You didn't grow up in the right environment. You need to hear that.
Yeah.
So you have the sense when you grow up as an adult to know how to respect male authority. To know when you hear something come out of a man's mouth a certain way,
eat that shit.
You know it's trouble coming if mother don't straighten up. It can literally be the meaning of life and death.
What's that saying? I only want to have to say this one time.
I'm telling you. I say this about my pops, man. Rest in peace. Man, I'm still scared of my dad and he in the grave.
Goddamn.
My dad could come out the grave.
Right, he's like, nigga, shit.
I mean, I'm talking about swole like he was. And I'm 43. Man, you think I would roll up on him? And he's 20 years older.
No, man.
You think I would roll up on him?
Nope. Nope. I don't know about that old man strength. Nigga. I don't know about that. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Cedric the Entertainer, man. He made a joke about that shit on Def Comedy Jam way back in the day about that old man strength.
Man. Boy, my dad snatched me up a couple times.
Like, goddamn. Like, I mean, one arm just pop.
You know, ain't no saying the matter. You know, kids who, you know, primarily around their mom, like, they talk about a back and forth with their mom. Like, when it came to physical, like, punishment.
Yeah.
With a dad, it ain't no back and forth.
See, bro, look. Here's the thing, man. See, my parents were like, two extremes. And you know what, man? Let's not sidebar, dude. I want you to get back on topic, man. I don't want to interrupt. But like, my mom was the type where it was sort of like she kind of just like would let you do whatever, almost, kind of, right? That's why my brothers were kind of like knuckleheads, man. They was in trouble and shit. Versus like when my pops was quick to get the belt out. Right? Like, he was quick to get the belt out. So for me, I would just be like, look, I'm just default. I'm gonna play it safe, even if I'm with my moms, man. Cause I already know my pops, dude. Like, let's just say some stupid shit happened because my mom let me just get off in some dumb shit. Man, look, that ain't flying with him. So now man, look, just default. I was just like, nah, man, look, nope.
You gonna be flying.
Nope. I was like, nope. Even though I'm with my mom, nope. I don't want that smoke. I don't want that smoke, dude. Nope.
Eliot details the need for the separation from the mother as a boy by detailing certain groups' initiatory practices by noting the following. Now, I think people need to really understand how they're talking about men who wanted to make sure that you as a boy separated from your mother. Not that, okay, I'm 18, I'm separated from my mom, or I'm 25 and I'm separated, or 30 or whatever. No, they felt it was so important to have the separation. They felt that you needed to have the separation early, which says a lot about the insight of these men of these ancient times who came up with these practices. They knew at a certain point that if we let this boy sit with his mom too long up under her, he's not going to be what we need for the group moving forward. The separation of the this is detailing an actual certain group's initiation of boys. The separation of the novices from their mothers takes place more or less dramatically in accordance with the customs of different tribes. The least dramatic method is found among the Kurnai, where the initiation ceremony is in any case quite simple. The mothers sit behind the novices, the men come forward in a single file line between the two groups and so separate them. The instructors raise the novices into the air several times. The novices stretching their arms as far as possible toward the sky. The meaning of this gesture is clear. The neophytes are being consecrated to the sky god. They are led then into the sacred enclosure, where lying on their backs with the arms crossed on their chest, they are covered with rugs. From then on, they see and hear nothing. After a monotonous song, they fall asleep. Later, the women withdraw. If a woman, a Kurnai headman said to Howard, were to see these things or hear what we tell the boys, I will kill her. Among the Yuin, as among some other Australian tribes, the novice is put under the charge of two guardians. Throughout the initiation, these guardians prepare his food, bring him water, and instruct him in the traditional myths and legend, the powers of the medicine man, and his duties to the tribe. One night, a great fire is lighted, and the guardians carry the novices to it on their shoulders. The novices are told to look at the fire and not to move, no matter what may happen. Behind them, their mothers gather, completely covered with branches. For 10 or 12 minutes, the boys are roasted at the fire. When the chief medicine, not literally roasted, figuratively. When the chief medicine man considers that this first ordeal has lasted long enough and that the novices have been sufficiently roasted, the bull roars are sounded behind the row of women. At this signal, the guardians make the boys run to the sacred enclosure, where they are ordered to lie down with their faces to the ground and are covered with possum skins and rugs. Soon afterward, the women are given permission to rise, and they retire a few miles away where they set up a new camp. The first initiation ceremony, comprising the separation from the women and the ordeal by fire, is thus completed. From that night on, the novices share only in the life of the men. Among the Murin, the separation is more abrupt and dramatic. Covered with blankets, the women sit down on the ground with their boys in front of them. At a particular moment, the novices are seized by the men who come up running, and they run away together. The Redaru call the initiation ceremonies Gurigal, belonging to the bush. The scenario is the same according to Howard. The women are covered with branches and blankets. The novices are seized by the guardians and carried off to the forest, where they are daubed with red ochre. Matthews gives a fuller and livelier description. A group of men arouse from the direction of the sacred ground, sounding bull roars, beating the ground with rods, and throwing burning sticks. Meanwhile, other men quietly seize the boys and lead them some distance away. When the women and children are allowed to look, they see nothing but ashes and burning sticks all about them when he came to take the novices. The meaning of this first part of the ceremony, the separation of the neophytes from their mothers, seems quite clear. What we have is a break, sometimes quite a violent break, with the world of childhood, which is at once the maternal and female world and the child's state of irresponsibility and happiness, of ignorance and asexuality. The break is made in such a way as to produce a strong impression, both on the mothers and the novices. In fact, in the case of nearly all Australian tribes, the mothers are convinced that their sons will be killed and eaten by a hostile and mysterious divinity, whose name they do not know, but whose voice they have heard in the terrifying sound of the bull roars. They are assured, of course, that the divinity will soon resuscitate the novices in the form of grown men, that is, of initiates. But in any case, the novices die to childhood, and the mothers have foreboding that the boys will never again be what they were before initiation.
Not my
Their children.
baby. Not my baby. Your baby's a man now.
When the lads finally come back to the camp, the mothers touch them to make sure that they are really their sons. Among some Australian tribes, as among other peoples too, the mothers mourn over the initiates as the dead are mourned. This
Wow.
this is a powerful explanation of the change that takes place within boys regarding who they become after an initiation, to the point their own mothers don't even recognize in terms of their energy. The boy's masculinity. This is really critical for people.
This is
The boy's masculinity has supplanted the familial bond in terms where a son's loyalty lies. The newly cemented man's masculinity places a mother's love for her son in a subservient role to her duty to submit to her son's masculine authority.
she can't do shit about it.
Yes,
Your son is gone.
mother is expected to submit to his authority,
Your son is
her
gone.
own son.
Your son is gone. That's what initiation does, y'all.
Now we know what kind of group Black America is, and we know that's a very controversial thing to say, that your mother is supposed to submit to your authority even when you're 12. But the reason why we know that's not far-fetched is because in societies that actually value sons in terms of leadership and moving the group forward, when a king, obviously kings die, they pass on.
Mm-hmm.
The son who takes over, if it's that kind of kingdom, the son who takes over, his mother has to submit to his authority. Her title as mother does not
It
supersede
doesn't supersede his.
his title as king. She owed her complete allegiance and loyalty to his kingdom and his rulership. By virtue through his father. That is the same kind of concept that is supposed to be in families as well. This is the reason, because this initiations weren't just for kings and princes. They were for all boys.
No, they were all, man. That's why you take your son out at 10, 11, 12 years old, shit, 9, whatever. Take him shooting. Right?
Right.
Kill something. See, which where we was talking about fishing.
Right.
When at a young age, go out there and go get some food.
Right.
If your life depended on it.
Right.
So the younger you can get them out there to understand how to throw a goddamn line out in the water, and pull some fish in, how to scale them, gut them, cook them.
And see, this is what we can see just from what we've touched on, because we haven't got to the initiation for girls.
For women, we're gonna get into that one. Yeah,
we're gonna get that too.
For girls, yeah.
Because we're gonna show why so many young females are wayward and lost. This is critical for women to have to understand. You are supposed to want to see your son or sons rule in terms of the leadership of their family. You should want to see that. But when you haven't done your job, you will selfishly stunt your son's growth and development by purposely not allowing him to be under the proper stewardship of elder men. And elder does not mean old. You can be wise at 25 and 30, but being around the right types of men who can help him initiate him into his masculinity. I've seen females with young sons throughout my life. And when they don't have men around, or if their mom is dealing with a male that's not a man, when you're a man, it's like they know it. They want to be all up under you. They want to hear what you have to say. It's just something that's just primordial. It's just innate.
They know, man.
They can feel it.
Yeah, they know.
I've been around females, single moms, stuff like that. They feel your presence as a man. Man, they want to be all up under you. Like you they daddy. Because they know, it's like something in them know that you have what they need in terms of their development internally, in terms of their psyche. It's just,
they know that that's what's missing. They know
it.
They know that that's what's missing.
They know it.
Yeah.
The reason why this part that I just read, I think it's important, and this is why one thing I stress to men is the necessity for them when they're dealing with women to look for respect first and love second. Men who look for love first are men, in my view, who still have not separated from their mother from a psyche perspective. When a boy has transformed into a man psychically, he is no longer his mother's child. He's his mother's son, but there's a big difference. From a psyche perspective, respect to men is love to us. Respect for masculinity means a woman believes in the leadership capabilities of that man. If there's no break from mother, masculinity cannot be developed. You can be a functional male, someone who does the bidding for women, hoping to gain the approval of your mother through women, but you will not be respected because inherently women, including a mother, knows her son fears her. In other words, you have to be approved by men. Think about the men who come back from boot camp totally different. Mother's boys go away from them as their babies, but after being trained by military elders, they are taught what their responsibility is to themselves, their fellow soldiers, and their nation. Eliot writes, now, suddenly they are torn from their blissful childhood unconsciousness and are told that they are to die. that they will be killed by the divinity. The very act of separation from their mothers fills them with forebodings of death. For they are seized by unknown, often masked men, carried far from their familiar surroundings, laid on the ground and covered with branches. Myself, I remember vividly being in a boot camp, hearing fresh recruits crying out for their moms or grandmothers, wanting to go home, feeling utter terror being away from the familiar. I remember one time after not sleeping for 3 days when we first got there, some dudes being snatched out of the bed after an hour and a half of sleep and dudes crying to go home. This is what Iliad is depicting in this ritualistic environment, which the military is a great example of. They were getting the men ready for what kind of scenario that you can be in. You might be in a scenario where you're pinned down in some jungle and you don't get sleep for 2 or 3 days because you have to get a certain position or capture somebody, and it's not going to be comfortable, but you have to learn how to deal with that. And obviously they train you for that. But when we first got there, our training began immediately.
Right. No, it's literally when you get there, bro.
It was like we stepped off that plane, they called out your name, boom, 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 went in there, boom, you start getting your hair shaved off, boom.
I was gonna say that, yeah, that's the first thing, right? Cut all that shit off.
You know what I'm saying? And some dudes they was losing their minds. Wow. I'm talking about dudes crying, man, I want my mama, man. I want my grandmama. I'm serious, man. Like, I seen it, man. You know, if any other military men, been through boot camp, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, dudes, like, I'm talking about dudes who couldn't follow simple directions, man. Yo, man, be quiet. Yo, man, go over here. Because they came from a world where, like Billy was talking about, you're in a world of irresponsibility. You don't really got to do anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Your mama pampering you, nurturing is not bad, but, just kind of giving you everything. Now you got to go over here and earn this shit now. Now you got to earn some shit.
Right.
And, it was a whole different ballgame, but the military operates in that same type of fashion in terms of, initiation. You send this boy in, but then when you go to the ceremony, the mother can't even recognize her son because he's different. She see him stepping with his fellow cadets in formation and, the ceremony, and he's saluting, and she's like, damn, who is this? It's a man now. You know what I'm saying? If he has fully accepted the ethos of the military, he is a different being. He's not going to ever be what you raised him, in terms of him being under, that woman's care. And he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be something different, which is what the military, if a male or if a boy accepts the military in its full, he's going to be very different than what he first entered it.
Right.
Iliad continues by saying, the maternal universe was that of the profane world. The universe that the novices now enter is that of the sacred world. Between the two, there is a break, a rupture of continuity. Passing from the profane to the sacred world in some sort implies the experience of death. He who makes the passage dies to one life in order to gain access to another. The novice dies to childhood and to the irresponsibility of the child's existence, that is, profane existence. In order to gain access to a higher life, the life where participation in the sacred becomes possible. This theme of sacredness, Iliad consistently reinforces throughout his work. In the work King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, Rediscovering the Archetypes of the Mature Masculine, Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette backs Iliad up when they state, We can point to the historical background for the decline of ritual initiation. The Protestant Reformation and the Enlightenment were strong movements that shared the theme of discrediting of ritual process. And once ritual as a sacred and transforming process has been discredited, what we are left with is what Victor Turner has called mere ceremonial, which does not have the power
Yeah,
necessary
ceremony, right?
to achieve genuine transformation of consciousness. See, we have to remember that initiation is about transforming consciousness. You know, I think the Bible has a scripture where it talks about, I'm no longer a child. I put away childish
What
things.
is it? Yeah, when I was a child, I did.
Yes, something to that effect.
When I was a child, I did as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things or something like that.
Right. Um, by disconnecting from ritual, we have done away with the processes by which both men and women achieve their gender identity in a deep, mature, and life enhancing way.
So, for like, I don't want to jump the shark again, right? But
Go ahead.
you know, because we just went in, and after I say this, dude, just give me like a couple minutes. I'm gonna step away. I use the bathroom real quick, stuff, and just check on my little one. But we talked about like initiation for like boys and stuff, and I know
Yeah.
like for us, dude, okay, there was hip hop, right?
Right.
You on the phone, we talked a lot about that shit.
Yes.
Getting initiated through hip hop, right? Then there's also like going out hunting and fishing and stuff,
Mhm.
right? Basically learning how to go out into the wild and get your food,
Right.
right? Stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then there's so for the females, I got a daughter, right? So I'm not taking her out hunting and shit. I mean, we enjoy fishing together, but that's not, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
she
it's not
knows,
the real brolic shit.
right. But it is more to do with these, like for example, they have a quinceañera,
Can
or they
see.
call it a what's that? There's another term, like an English word for it. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But in California, it's quinceañera. So
The coming
15.
out of her.
There you go.
Coming out.
Right, that the 15th birthday, that's literally like a gateway point. It's a different type of birthday party, so to speak. I've been to plenty of them, right? Been to plenty quinceañeras in my time
Mhm.
growing up, and that's a different type of birthday party.
Right.
That's kind of what I just wanted to throw out there.
Yeah. Um, this goes back to something I said earlier too, like, you know, masculinity and femininity is something that you have to be initiated into.
Right.
It's not something you're born with. Um, and I thought that was a very important point when they said how both men and women achieve their gender identity through the initiation. In our present times, we know all the uproar with gender identity. We can ascertain thus far as that the reason for such contention is the absence of proper initiation rituals. Moore and Gillette go on to say, what happens to a society if the ritual processes by which these identities are formed become discredited? In the case of men, there are many who either had no initiation into manhood or who had pseudo initiations like gangs that failed to evoke the needed transition into adulthood. We get the dominance of boy psychology. Boy psychology is everywhere around us, and its marks are easy to see. Among them are abusive and violent acting out behaviors against others, both men and women, passivity and weakness, the inability to act effectively and creatively in one's own life and to engender life and creativity in others, both men and women, and often an oscillation between the two, abuse, weakness, abuse, weakness. I'm sure we can easily recognize the description of Moore and Gillette's observation of certain males we see in society now. In this space in particular, there have been many males who exhibit these traits. But both authors, two men by the way, critique surprisingly something that you don't really see criticized from the male point of view. and that's patriarchy. We're constantly hearing men in these spaces constantly talk about we need a patriarchy, we need a patriarchy, we need a patriarchy. Gillette and Moore write, feminists have seen how male dominance and patriarchy has been oppressive and abusive of the feminine, of both the so-called feminine characteristics and virtues and actual women themselves. In their radical critique of patriarchy, some feminists conclude that masculinity in its roots is essentially abusive and that connection with eros, with love, relatedness, and gentleness comes only from the feminine side of the human equation. As useful as some of these insights have been to the cause of both feminine and masculine liberation from patriarchal stereotypes, we believe there are serious problems with this perspective. In our view, patriarchy is not the expression of deep and rooted masculinity, but truly deep and rooted masculinity is not abusive. Patriarchy is the expression of the immature. It is the expression of boy psychology, and in part the shadow or crazy side of masculinity. It expresses the stunted masculinity fixated at immature levels.
Why am I reading the script?
We are constantly hearing males constantly cry out for patriarchy, which I think is a cry out for many men to be freed from their mother's umbilical cord. Many men feel weak to women based on not being separated from their mothers from a psyche standpoint. So in Moore and Gillette's view, patriarchy, I would contend, is a mask for males who need power over men and women to feel secure within themselves, to hide the fact that they emotionally are constellated towards the feminine world of their mothers, not their masculinity. They go on to say, patriarchy, in our view, is an attack on masculinity in its fullness. I'm going to read that one more time because I think that's important to note. Patriarchy, in our view, is an attack on masculinity in its fullness. Those caught up in the structures and dynamics of patriarchy seek to dominate not only women, but men as well. Patriarchy is based on fear, the boy's fear, the immature masculine's fear of women, to be sure, but also fear of men. Boys fear women, but they also fear real men. This cannot be understated, y'all. Many men want power for the mere sake of hiding how weak they are inside in terms of masculinity. Moore and Gillette powerfully separate patriarchal males who do not represent true leadership and men who, when properly initiated, represent true masculinity, because masculine men are leaders unto themselves and their brotherhood. They go on to say, the patriarchal male does not welcome the full masculine development of his sons or his male subordinates any more than he welcomes the full development of his daughters or his female employees.
Yo, I'm back. Yo, Ryle, are you there?
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
reading.
Okay, all right, you got it.
I'm gonna go back. Gillette and Moore state, patriarchy, in our view, is an attack on masculinity in its fullness. Those caught up in the structures and dynamics of patriarchy seek to dominate not only women, but men as well. Patriarchy is based on fear. The boy's fear, the immature masculine fear of women, to be sure, but also fear of men. Boys fear women. They also fear real men. Like I said before, this cannot be understated.
Not only can it not be understated, it can also be observed and witnessed in the manosphere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many men want power for the mere sake of hiding how weak they are inside in terms of masculinity. Moore and Gillette powerfully separate patriarchal males who do not represent true leadership, and men who, when properly initiated, represent true masculinity because masculine men are leaders unto themselves and their brotherhood. They go on to say the patriarchal male does not welcome the full masculine development of his sons or his male subordinates any more than he welcomes the full development of his daughters or his female employees. This is the story of the superior at the office who can't stand it that we are as good as we are. How often we are envied, hated, and attacked in direct and passive aggressive ways, even as we seek to unfold who we really are in all our beauty, maturity, creativity, and generativity. The more beautiful, competent, and creative we become, the more we seem to invite the hostility of our superiors or even our peers. What we are really being attacked by is the immaturity in human beings who are terrified of our advances on the road toward masculine or feminine fullness of being.
Wow.
Boom! I told you I was
You
gonna
know,
break.
wait. So basically, in a nutshell, if you guys ever wanted the psychological profile of a troll,
Yes.
you guys want to know what makes guys like Gabe A tick. Well, can you repeat that what you just that part right there?
What we are really being attacked by is the immaturity in human beings who are terrified of our advances on the road toward masculine or feminine fullness of being.
See, like I said, this was going to be an interesting one tonight because, yeah, I'll name names. Yeah, see, people like Gabe A, that's the problem right there,
Yep.
right there with that one right there. You hear that, Gabe? You might want to take heed.
See, and I'm going to say this out of respect for her, and this is out of respect towards Sister George. Her moving in her femininity, being a married woman, being a woman who has her husband's back, who protects him, has his six, incurred the wrath of certain types of females on YouTube, females saying that she was trying to quote unquote throw her marriage in their face. And this, what I just read earlier, is representative of that.
There you go. That's another version. That's just
That's a female
that's the
version.
female version of that.
You trying to make me look bad because I haven't demonstrated the capability of making myself be the type of woman that a man not only marries but actually stays with too.
I mean, the projection is just so strong on that.
Very strong. But it happens the same way for males who are
Yeah,
not men.
that's what I was saying. Like your perfect example. Like, who's the brain trust biggest troll? Gabe A, right?
Right.
And there you go, right there. That literally just explains how the guy his brain ticks. And then on
Because
the flip side of that, what you just said right there, Sister George,
right,
you're trying to throw your marriage in my face. Like, throw it in your face.
that's another way of saying you think you better than me.
What was some of the other ones that they say? You ain't all that,
You ain't all that. Yeah.
right?
Yes. And so from the male perspective, productivity is going to be hated. Now, it doesn't make any sense but we know that we have had multiple years where we had to fight over this notion of the educated lame in terms of being a productive man and the so-called cool cats who ain't being productive. But the fact that we had to have that conversation is proof that there are males who, when they're attacking productive men, the reason why they're attacking them is because in their mind, in their psychology, those men represent the type of men that they aren't, and they probably would never be.
Yeah, so kind of like that guy Amiri,
Right.
kind of like him. And
And I got something for it. I got something for him too.
yeah, I was gonna say, and guys like him. So what they'll do is they have these channels where they talk bad about men to gain the approval, right? Where they say, well, y'all men out here ain't doing this, y'all men out here ain't doing this and doing that. It's almost as if they forget that they're men themselves, right? And so then my thought is like, okay, well, if you're going to get out here and make that kind of charge, I assume you are. Oh, you're not.
Well, from a psyche standpoint, they're not men.
Oh, wait. I didn't, I didn't want to encroach into that part. I was going to let you go ahead and say that.
From a psyche standpoint, that's why I said they might be a functional male who does the bidding for women, and in their mind, that's what makes them a man, because I've been approved by women.
This is deep.
But when you get those males in circles of men, which they tend to avoid, then we get to see who's who.
Who's who? We now
because men are going to call boys out on their bullshit. Girls who are in the bodies of women, they'll play with boys who act like they're men. But those same females, when they come into contact with a man, they realize a man ain't going for that bullshit.
Well, they switch up.
Not they can't even switch up most times.
Well, you notice they don't come over here with that bullshit.
They know not to.
Yeah.
They know not to.
Yeah.
They will rather be in spaces that what's the word they use?
Entertain it.
No, they'd rather be in spaces that people tell them things that make them believe that, oh, what I believe is right. Safe spaces, basically. YouTube is a place that has become a place where people gravitate to channels that basically reinforce what they already believe.
Right.
Human beings, just by nature, cognitive dissonance is real. So, people can believe all day long, what they believe in. It doesn't have to be true. They just believe it. But when they hear something that's diametrically opposed to what they believe, a lot of times cognitive dissonance sets in. And so being ignorant is a state of bliss for many people on both sides, because it makes sure that neither side has to fucking grow up.
Yeah,
you got males and females on both sides who are still boys and girls who don't want to grow up.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like that one.
So anybody that's listening, you hear somebody that's not biased based on gender. I'm a man, and I'm talking about on both sides.
Both. No, that's the whole thing. This shit. This is both. This is both. Because it's thick and it's deep on both sides.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You've got gross immaturity.
And what you basically have is a psyche food fight.
Yes.
And anybody that's been in a food fight knows that in a food fight, one side throws food, the other side throws food. And nobody wins a food fight.
You're all going to get messy after.
You're already going to get messy. That's what you have, is a psyche food fight. That's why I said a couple of years ago, I'm not interested in a damn food fight. That's what I meant when I said this a couple of years ago. Because females were saying this thing and males were saying this thing. But when you look at the history, when you look at the upbringing and things like that, you see people who are ill prepared for life. We don't come up here talking like men who are ill prepared for life. We come up here with solutions. We come up here with directions and paths that people need to go down. We bring material. We give out business information. We give out tech
Hey man,
information.
experience.
And we don't come up here sounding like we're scared of this shit. We ain't scared of nothing out here.
I already told you, man. I got young dudes rolling around on bikes 100+ mile an hour on the track. If they ain't, why am I gonna be scared? Why are you gonna be scared? They ain't even scared.
No. We survived the
Hell.
crack era. What do we have to be scared of?
Man, whole battle rams, nigga, crack, nigga, drug. Come on, man. God damn, dude.
Come on, man.
What y'all scared of?
Come on. Come on.
What y'all scared of, man? Mary, what you scared of, bro? Niggas like us.
Yes. In other words, males who aren't men hate men who project outwardly and inwardly masculinity. Just like a woman who is jealous of a woman who sees another woman who has her hair done and dresses well, who immediately expresses envy because she believes that woman is better than her, males who lack masculinity will project hostility towards men who represent the masculinity they lack. As Gillette and Moore say, patriarchy expresses what we are calling boy psychology. There are different aspects of males who represent the male who has not been separated from their mothers through proper initiation. Moore and Gillette cover one aspect that I think really speaks to males so desperate for power to obscure how weak they are, and that's called the coward. They write, the boy possessed by the coward, the other pole of the hero's bipolar shadow, shows an extreme reluctance to stand up for himself in physical confrontation. Confrontations. He will usually run away from a fight, perhaps excusing himself by claiming that it is more manly to walk away. But this can be what we've been experiencing as far as with trolls too, like people like Babe A2.
Well, I was gonna say, you know,
he don't really want to face as a man what is said in these spaces because he's a boy.
Well, as soon as it was put on the table, what cats would do to him if they saw him, then all of a sudden it was like, I'm telling.
Yeah, because when Super Sly challenged him, he folded.
All he asked him to do is just meet up for lunch.
Right. He soon as he challenged him as a man, he folded. What he'll do is he'll troll y'all. You know what I'm saying? He'll troll y'all all day long.
Yeah. But won't meet up for lunch.
But when it's time to meet up for lunch, I'm gonna be a bigger man.
But wait a minute, everybody eats though. We all eat. Why not? Why not meet up for lunch? What happened?
He will usually run away from a fight, perhaps excusing himself by claiming that it is more manly to walk away. But he will feel wretched in spite of his excuses. So even though he popping shit online, away from this YouTube shit, he feeling like a bitch on the inside. He feeling like a bitch on the inside because he is. It is not only physical fights he will avoid, however. He will tend to allow himself to be bullied emotionally and intellectually as well. When someone else is demanding or forceful with him, the boy under the power of the coward and unable to feel heroic about himself will cave in. He will easily acquiesce to pressure from others. He will feel invaded and run over like a doormat. Pro-blacks.
Wow.
When he has had enough of this, however, the hidden grandiosity of the grandstander bully, another aspect of a weak male, within him will erupt and launch a violent verbal and or physical assault upon his enemy, an assault for which the other is totally unprepared. So the type of dude that a cheap shot person.
Or the type of dude that'll go around and troll you like when you're just doing your thing and then boom,
Yeah,
You're
it's a
just
cheap
like,
shot. It's
you're
a
like,
cheap shot.
you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a cheap shot. Yeah,
This
it's
is
a cheap
Gabe
shot.
A, everyone. Like this is why I said this one,
It's
this
gay
one is
age,
gonna start.
struggle, security, whatever you
It's
want to
gonna,
call
yeah, it's gonna explain a lot of people
it. Right.
and why they do what they do.
Yeah. And mind you, this is not just for him. It's people like him.
It's
For
not, dude. The
example,
O'Shea's and
yeah,
go
for
ahead.
people, for example, who black, because I see a lot of this with black females who claim that they're not interested in marriage, but somehow, some kind of way, you find yourself in conversations or part of
About it.
conversations that are consistently talking about marriage and family. If you don't have any, I have no problem with a woman who has absolutely no interest in being a wife. Hopefully, a woman like that chooses not to be a mother, so she don't
Yeah, I
destroy
was
her
gonna say.
children.
Hopefully, yeah, we're also not gonna do that too.
But we
Right.
know that's not mutually exclusive.
Right. Of
But
course.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's your free will choice to do. But
But when you got something to say about it all the
why
time,
go in spaces constantly telling people who are actually interested in marriage and family that you have no interest in being married or you have no interest in being married to a black man? Well, you don't have to make that a public declaration. You can just go on about your business
you
and live
could
your life.
you could totally live that out,
We don't know you
unbeknownst to me or you or anybody that's listening right now.
Right. We don't know you personally. We don't. You just an avatar on YouTube. We don't know you. So if you have no interest in it, why are you a part of conversations that aren't? Because deep down in a lot of these people's mind, because honestly, think about it. What sane person is going to really say they really don't want marriage and they don't want to have a good family? What sane person is going to say that?
No sane person.
No sane person is going to say that.
Yeah,
Period.
no sane person, right?
And really what it comes down to is that those types of females who are saying that typically are females who come from broken homes where your single mom led things and she created a dysfunctional home environment for you.
Well, shit, dude, a dysfunctional psyche, because that was like an entire sort of like grooming and upbringing, right?
Right.
In in a situation where you literally learned how to live without the other parent. That's the other part
Right.
to this, that oftentimes doesn't really get touched on, man.
Right.
Now I've heard certain women actually speak on this, their experience and actually maturing and growing from that experience and not having a father in the home, because dude, that's literally like one half,
Right.
right? I try to keep my daughter around my stepmom, her hairdresser, cheer coach, as much as possible. Why? Because her mother's not here, so I have to like do what I
You're
can
gonna
to
need
like,
that feminine side.
I gotta, dude, because I can't provide the shit. I'm not um I'm not like women who think that I can sit up here and raise like some masculine,
And that's very mature of you to recognize that, because
well, it's
you don't,
intelligent, bro.
yeah,
Like, look,
you don't
it's like,
over pour you into her, knowing that she needs that feminine side.
yeah. No, dude, she's got her godmother that's coming out here next week. She's gonna spend some time with her. Then she's gonna be with my mom for a week. Dude, I gotta put her around like women, because she's growing
And
into that.
but she has a different experience too, because she lost her mom at an early age too. So that's a
whole
different
other
type of.
that's a whole other can of worms right there.
Right.
Man.
That's so it's even more imperative.
But what I didn't do was just say, well, you don't need her.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
That's why, dude. It's like when I hear this type of stuff, I go, your brain's not ticking correctly. You something's off. There's a whole lot missing, right? That needs to be addressed. Because there's no way in hell I would ever say something like that. No way. It just doesn't even make any sense.
I remember I was with a chick one time years ago, and she literally said out her mouth, like, well, I didn't grow up with my father, and ain't nothing wrong with me. And I was like, what?
Holy shit! Who have you asked?
She said it like, I was like, Okay.
Yeah, you just say that with full card. Nothing wrong with me. Oh, check, please.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Have you bothered to ask anybody?
Boy.
Get their opinion on that?
Man. Um. Said, well, having described the negative or shadow aspects of the grandstander coward, we nonetheless have to ask ourselves why the hero is present in our psyches at all. Why is this a part of our personal development history as men? What is the evolutionary adaptation that it serves? What the hero does is to mobilize the boy's delicate ego structures to enable him to break with the mother at the end of boyhood and face the difficult task that life is beginning to assign him. The hero energies call upon the boy's masculine reserves, which will be refined as he matures in order to establish his independence and his competence, for him to be able to experience his own budding abilities to push the outside of the envelope and test himself against the difficult, even hostile forces in the world. The hero enables him to establish a beachhead against the overwhelming power of the unconscious, much of which for men at least is experienced as feminine as mother. The hero enables the boy to begin to assert himself and define himself as distinct from all others, so that ultimately, as a distinct being, he can relate to them fully and creatively. The hero throws the boy up against the limits, against the seemingly intractable. It encourages him to dream the impossible dream that might just be possible after all. If he has enough courage, it empowers him to fight the unbeatable foe that if he is not possessed by the hero, he might just be able to defeat. Once again, it is our position that all too often therapists, not to mention relatives, friends, co-workers, and people in positions of authority attack, knowingly or unknowingly, the shining of the hero in men. Ours, this is very important for people that's listening and for future people who listen to this later. Ours is not an age that wants heroes. Ours is an age of envy in which laziness and self involvement are the rule. Anyone who tries to shine, who dares to stand above the crowd, is dragged back down by his lackluster and self appointed peers.
Oh. I'm not going to say his name again.
I think you people really need to understand. It could be your mama, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, your cousin,
Man,
your
your
so-called best
homeboys.
friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say your quote unquote homies.
Um, if they're envious of you, they're not going to celebrate your ascension into your masculinity and your femininity. And you need to be okay with that because that means that you're going to have to cut them off. I don't care if you were friends with them for 20 years. Once they show that ugly head, don't give them another chance to do it to you. Bounce. If your own parent does not celebrate your ascension, leave them alone.
Bounce. Capadonna did a song called Run.
I mean, run. I mean, for real. Get out of there. Because they're going to die. Specifically when it comes to your parent. They're going to leave you. And the last thing you want your parent to leave you on this earth is as a broken person.
Because you're not going to get the answers you want after they pass on because they won't be here.
They ain't going to be here.
You'll be left. Like you may as well just be about you if they ain't about you. Well, be about you any goddamn way, but I'm just saying if they ain't about you, man, cut them off.
Your ascension does not need their approval. You're your own person. Your parent is not your slave owner. We need a great rebirth of the heroic in our world. Every sector of human society, wherever that may be on the planet, seems to be slipping into an unconscious chaos. Only the heroic consciousness, exerting all its might, will be able to stop this slide toward oblivion. Only a massive rebirth of courage in both men and women will rescue the world. Against enormous odds, the hero picks up his sword and charges into the heart of the abyss, into the mouth of the dragon, into the castle under the power of an evil spell. What is the end of the hero? Almost universally in legend and myth, he dies, is transformed into a god, and translated into heaven. We recall the story of Jesus' resurrection and ascension, or of Oedipus' final disappearance in a flash of light at Colonus, or Elijah's ascent into the sky in a fiery chariot. The death of the hero is the death of boyhood, of boy psychology. And it is the birth of manhood and man psychology. The death of the hero in the life of a boy or a man really means that he has finally encountered his limitations. He has met the enemy, and the enemy is himself. He has met his own dark side, his very unheroic side. He has fought the dragon and been burned by it. He has fought the revolution and drunk the dregs of his own. He has overcome the mother and then realized his incapacity to love the princess. The death of the hero signals a boy's or man's encounter with true humility. It is the end of his heroic consciousness. True humility, we believe, consists of two things. The first is knowing our limitations, and the second is getting the help we need. If we are possessed by the hero, we will fall under the negative aspect of this energy and live out, as Tom Cruise's character did in Top Gun, the inflated feelings and actions of the grandstander bully. Another aspect of weakness in a male who has not attained his masculinity. That's Gabe Abe. The grandstander bully.
Oh my God.
We will walk over others in our insensitivity and arrogance, and eventually we will self-destruct. Ridiculed and cast out by others. If we are in the passive pole of the hero's bipolar shadow possessed by the coward, we will lack the motivation to achieve anything of insignificance for human life. But if we access the hero energy appropriately, we will push ourselves up against our limitations. We will adventure to the frontiers of what we can be as boys, and from there, if we can make the transition, we will be prepared for our initiation into manhood.
You know, let me ask you something, man, because I might invoke some other people here by asking you this. Let me ask you something, dude. It is a preoccupation with things gynocratic, so to speak, a sign or a symbol of not actually fully separating?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure that
Absolutely.
maybe how I was thinking about this, right? Because there's Edward Anderson. Okay.
Absolutely.
And there were some very curious things that he was kind of saying to Shirley Huzar last night on ours. I was listening in last night, just laying in the bed. And there's almost like some projection towards her, right? For some mommy issues, perhaps. And it was kind of unfair. When I was listening in, I was just like, "Whoa, dude! Like, what's the heat about, right? Where's the heat coming from?" And there's something that's underlying in all of this. This is why I wanted to talk about this shit. I'm like, dude, why do people do the things that they do, especially in social media? Because these things are done to devastating effect. I mean, it's real easy to come up with an acronym, a meme, something, and then it go viral, as they call it. Right?
A lot of this stuff that you see on social media from the male's perspective and the females, is really a cry for help.
Oh shit. Okay, let's go there then. Goddamn.
Where do you go if you haven't been properly initiated?
I guess you go
Now,
to where you have a voice, right? And you have people who will listen to you.
Click.
part of initiation is being able to shut the fuck up and listen.
Oh wow, what am I gonna do? Well, half an hour later, Tony Williams called.
First and foremost,
Miles called you.
is full and complete submission to somebody you view as an authority figure over you.
Hey, Tony Williams.
When you join the military, you are saying that you are willing to submit to the authority of those people in the military that are going to be over you, that are going to be teaching you, your boot camp instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are people who have been used to living their lives doing whatever they wanted to do as kids. Because again, people join the military usually, most people joining will be 18. So that means 18, if you just graduated from high school, you were still in kiddie mode. You just left high school.
What?
So you're going from the world of your mama, more than likely, especially in Black America. And now you're coming into an environment where it is all about masculine authority. That's going to be very hard to deal with when you have never had to deal with that. If me and you went to boot camp right now, we'd fall right in and be good because we don't have a problem with masculine authority.
I've been yelled at plenty of times.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no problem hearing a man's voice speak with dominance and authority and control and saying, "Hey, do this." We're like, "All right, yes, sir." Why? Because our dad's was military men, and especially when we were young, it was yes, sir, no, sir.
No, sir. Nigga, we got that military upbringing. Goddamn.
We got it. If I said yes to my dad, because I knew not to say yeah. If I just said yes, he would be like, "Yes, what?" And then I'll be like, "Yes, sir."
Throw that stir on the end of it, man.
So, a lot of these people, I've said that the manosphere can be a sacred space for men, as I talked about this, as I referenced earlier. Safe space. Space, where men can learn the things that they need to learn that they didn't get coming up in their environment. But you have a lot of males who run interference in these spaces by hating on channels like the Black Brain Trust, specifically because they don't represent the true information of what men need. It will be one thing if people had channels and say, okay, these are some of the things that's in the environment. This is some of the things you're dealing with out here when it comes to women and their wrong tutelage, because the women got the wrong tutelage as well. But over here, if you men want to get into some business stuff, you want to get into some tech stuff, here's a perfect channel for you over here. It's called the Black Ranger. That would be different. Because they're sending them down an assembly lines like, okay, this is what you need to understand what's going on in the environment. Boom, 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 boom. But don't come out here with some hating these women type stuff, because that's gonna keep you unfocused. Understand that they've been, underserved too. Okay, these are the type of things you need to watch out for. But now you need to go over here and get on your program. You need to get on your mission. You need to get on your purpose. That's the problem. Much of the content, I would say, majority of the content is about keeping men distracted with talking about the women content all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
or the
And
celebrity, and the
also, yeah,
yeah,
it's usually going to be celebrity is usually going to involve.
yeah, because that's the other thing. I'm like, as men, like, why the this might be a an unpopular statement. I don't understand where how black men developed this gossip culture from. Well, let me take that back. I know where they got it from.
Yeah, yeah, come on.
I'm kind of just surprised at it.
I mean, a lot of the space is filled with male mammies. That's what it is.
I mean, dude,
I mean,
like,
how can you be something that you weren't initiated into?
I, okay, so okay,
I can't be a chemist if I wasn't initiated into learning chemistry first. I gotta
all
learn
right.
this shit first.
Well, okay, I'm not gonna make that argument, but then let's go on the flip side though. It's like, damn, okay, but now you got to be a tea sipper. Okay, that's the alternative. I suppose it is, right? Because you ain't on no manhood shit. So because yeah, that's more of a hot button topic. Like I gotta be real with you, bro. Like this whole week, this whole like Lori and I'm just gonna say that name and then Mike. So
Mm-hmm.
I ain't trying to trip algorithms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lori and Mike, there you
Mm-hmm.
go. Why their whole shit was a thing. I'm like, dude, like Hollywood couples break up all the fucking time, dude. It's like it's so not a big deal. Like it's so not a big deal.
Hold on, give me 1 second, real quick.
You got it, bro. Go ahead. Yeah. You guys, I was just kind of like sitting back. I've been busy with shit all week, man. I just took another contract gig, so I'll be starting that on Wednesday. But um, it was just like all these live streams and everything, and it was just like they broke up, and I'm like, "W- okay, they broke up, dude. Okay, huh? And it was a thing. It was like it's all this stuff, man. Everybody talking, and I was just like, dude, this is so not a big fucking deal. It's so not a big deal. Like, goddamn, you guys have literally nothing to talk about. That should just be. I don't even. It shouldn't even been news, to be real with you. But I get it. It's all for the gram or whatever social media platform you prefer. Because obviously we saw it, right? Everybody had like a live stream to talk about it, and yeah, we're talking about Psyche here and stuff, right? And I'm saying that the Lori chick, right? Her dad's a dope dealer. I don't know if you guys knew this, right? Her dad was like a whole drug dealer and shit.
Yeah, I'm back.
Listen, I wouldn't say that she exactly was like sort of like the best model for something that we would call marriage material, so to speak. Um,
Who?
no, I'm just the Lori and Mike thing.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm saying like the like I'm trying to remind folks that her dad is a drug dealer, right? So I'm just saying consider the pedigree and the DNA, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the Mike guy, and I'm just saying, hey, bro, like consider who her family is. Family might want to fall back, and that's just me being discerning. That's why I don't understand why this shit is a big deal. I was like, all right, man. Well, okay, maybe he did have a little fun with her or whatever. They fucking broke up, dude. This is so not a big deal. This is not something um that deems all this time and attention and conversation, right? At least I don't think so. Once again, we did like the strategy for the digitization of Africa
Mm-hmm.
2030. We
Mm-hmm.
did, all these various micro mobility business consortium.
Ghost kitchen.
I'm thinking this shit's of more importance. That just I don't know, dude.
If you, if your world as a boy is completely constellated, we're talking about 18 plus, because it could still be going for a male that's 50 years old. 18 plus years of your world view has been constellated by your mom. Are you really prepared to view the world properly to be able to oppose things in the external environment? No, you're not prepared. You're not prepared. You're not going to build you're not going to build a community that people claim you're supposed to build when you can't even build a sand castle. You're not going to do it. And it's silly for the females to ask for the men to build a community when their womb decisions are showing that they're willing to destroy a group through their poor womb choices. It's ass backwards.
It totally is counterintuitive. Ass backwards. It's
Ass
just
backwards.
nonsensical. I don't know what
But
other.
that's the circle jerk. They're going to sling mud and say, you're not building anything. And the men are going to throw mud back. And to a certain degree, men, it makes sense they will. But the problem is, it's kind of hard for you to be taken seriously if your whole world is consumed with women. When you have avenues out here where you can break that chain and go for it. Officer Faulkner, man, salute to him. He's talked about for multiple years, black men get in law enforcement, black men get in the military, black men get in the law enforcement, black men get in the military. We've had Doc Phoenix over here in different spaces, breaking down the military, how to use the military for schooling and taking advantage of
How
the
to get the
benefits,
to pay for your college.
how to pay for your college, all these types of things. What more else? I mean, we came up during the 90s. You know what I'm saying? We came of age in the 90s. Man, if we had YouTube in the 90s with access to this
Jesus Christ,
information,
do you realize, like, dude,
bruh,
we'd probably be able to like fly and shit.
bruh. I mean, dude. If we had this access to information, man, and in the 90s,
Man, do you
we would
realize
be we would have been
advanced?
millionaires with no problem, easily.
I mean,
In our 20s. In our 20s.
oh, dude, I'm dead ass. I'm just saying. Do you know how
We
advanced?
would have been Zuckerbergs in them. Like, if we had the information. The only thing that separated us from people like them is that when you look at a lot of these tech people, when you look at their background, their parents were heavy.
Their parents have
tech,
money, man. Their
science, had
parents
money,
have
and they
their
could pay
parents
for the clowns.
they were in spheres of influence.
Yes.
They had friends that did, well, my friend, he's a partner in this firm, type shit, right?
Yeah. King Sigma did a show one time where he was detailing all of the people, like, in these Twitter, people started Twitter and all these different places, all these different apps. And then when you look at their background, dad was a doctor, mom was a mathematician.
And then like their parents are on the board of trustees somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. That has something to do with, let's just say, that first round of funding or something.
Right.
Dude, it's always some connected shit, bro.
And in the 90s too, people got to realize too, in that environment, coming from that environment, because of the success of the internet, man, people, I mean, you had the dot-com bubble, but before, I mean, people were throwing money around left and right. Any
Oh my
idea
God,
that
Web
sounded
1.0,
like
man,
it could make
dude.
some money.
Look, I remember, dude, during Web 1.0, dude, when I was trying to get some money to put my little record store up online and shit, I met with this dude. He's a banker, right?
Mhm.
I met with this guy. And I was probably like 20, I was like 23 at the time, I think. 23 or 24, I think. And this dude he was telling me about this website called diapers.com. It was a website, literally, dude, you just go there to buy diapers. Man, they got like $15-20 million in like just first round seed money. I was like,
man,
to sell diapers?
Bruh.
I remember that time, dude. This was like 90, 98. Around 98. 98, 99. Yeah, diapers.com, dude.
I mean, so many of these males don't even know what's truly at their fingertip. Like you have men that's literally giving you information for free, like synthesizing the information for you, breaking it down. All you got to do is just take it and utilize it and apply it.
Hey man, some of us got even business that you can fuck with.
I
There's
mean, come
that
on.
part. I mean, you want to get bread up too? We can do that.
I mean, may the gods rest his soul, man. But that's what Kevin was talking about, man. KS was talking about. He was talking about setting up things like people don't think about the business stuff he was talking about. Everybody just focus on the stuff he was talking about as far as the relation between men and women. What about the business stuff he was talking about in terms of setting up things where he wanted to set up some? He was talking about setting up internships for black men.
Mm.
People forget that. He was talking about setting up internships. Hey man, we're gonna be setting up some internships, man. Y'all gotta step up, man. Y'all gonna have to get on it. What was he trying to do? He was trying to initiate these men to their masculinity. Stop making excuses. You at home with your mom, you ain't got no woman, you ain't got no kid, work three jobs. Make no excuses. Matter of fact, don't even focus on the woman. Focus on getting your money, getting productive. If you sitting up here living with your mama, use that to your advantage. Stack your paper, throw your mom some money, a little money, and stack your paper. Get you a
And be out.
reliable car. You know what I'm saying? And stack your bread. Stop playing. Instead of being online complaining about women all the time. That's what you saying. That's what he was saying. Everybody just focus on the thing that made him the most popular. But in that, he was throwing a lot of things to men and women, but a lot of things to men to get young men on the right path.
I mean, I guess it's just.
But I mean, you had a lot of males in the manosphere who had a serious problem with him. Because he didn't do it the way they thought he should do it. No, he did it his own way because he was his own man. He didn't need no niggas in a manosphere that he never met, probably was never going to meet. He didn't need their approval. That's what men don't look for approval from other men to follow their own vision. He had his own vision.
Hey, are you guys cool?
He obviously successful in it because he was.
Are y'all cool with my vision? Are y'all cool? Before I go and do this, y'all cool with that? No, man, hell no. You do it. You just go and do it, right? But I think also it is a bigger sign, man. It's a bigger sign of people's. I guess I don't want to use the term brokenness, but I would say a lot of people are incomplete.
Yeah, I would say it's a fracture. It's a
or fractured, right? I'm trying to not use that term broken, right?
Yes, fracture in the cycle.
Yeah. And so I think that's why largely, man, the relationship stuff is what people mostly are drawn to, because it sucks to say this, but a lot of black people don't know what a good relationship looks like.
There is nothing more debilitating for a man or for a male or a female to hate the other gender. That is the most debilitating thing you can do, because even Jung talks about the different aspects in terms of the animus and the anima, and how the anima is the feminine side of man, and the animus is the masculine side of women. So we all have that component in us. You know what I'm saying? Our fathers put us in our mother's womb. That union came together and created a life. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
For men, you have to balance that side. Part of that balance comes in early in your life when you get that proper nurturing from hopefully your mother, or if you get it from something happens to her, you get it from some other female in your life, grandmother, aunt, whatever, even if it's older sister, so that when you grow to be a man, you appreciate that side of a woman that is constellated in a woman that wants to do that for you from a wife perspective. It's the same thing for women. And so if you come out here with that hatred of the other gender, you're naturally going to hate a part of yourself, and that's going to just be self-destructive. Period. There's just no way to get. There's just no way to get around it. That's why, like, even in my criticisms of the females in our group, I just haven't been on some stuff like, man, I hate them. You know, might hate what they do, but as far as hate them, like, nah, that's a little too far.
No,
It's too far gone. Because
no.
the truth of the matter is,
Hate is reserved. That's some reserved energy,
yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
you reserve that. Just that's some special occasion shit.
right. Special occasion. Like, and the thing about it is, when you look on both sides, you know, whether you are male or female, if you grew up in these type of homes, these broken homes, you both got fucked. I mean, this is really what it is.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter from what perspective, whether it's from the feminine perspective or the masculine
kind
perspective.
of don't matter.
And you got to figure out how to fix that. That's your job. If your parents are going to come up short anyway. For a lot of people, your parents came up short earlier than a lot of other people. And you're going to have to fix that part. Otherwise, you're going to just go through life losing and failing because you haven't achieved that balance. And a lot of that is just really going to come through really just, hey man, you know, my mom or my dad, they weren't the best. You know, hey, I forgive them. Like, it's time to move on from that. Man, let me live the best life that I can live. I mean, that's
Man,
really a
look,
lot of time where it comes down to.
the easiest way to do it, man, is just put it in your head. Look, they did the best they could,
Yep. Yep.
right? That puts that. See, here's what that does, man. Um, it 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 allows you to come to terms with they themselves being human,
Right.
and they themselves having the ability to make mistakes just like we do, right?
Right.
Like what we have to do is at a certain point, and hey man, this is some shit. Even like we growing, I had to come to learn and understand this, right? Um, by saying that, what you do is you forgive your parents for shit, like
Right.
just by saying they did the best they could. But
Yep.
see, I'm here now, so I got to do what I got to do, right? They got me here, cool. They did the best they could, but now I know from here on out, right? It's on me,
So me.
right? So now what I'm not going to do is turn around and keep pointing to them.
Right.
Okay, I came to terms with it. They did the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's just the bottom line. Um, I said that we were going to get to the women, and not going to be too long. But I think this is really important in terms of covering um, the, um, the feminine side of initiation. Um, I'm still coming from the book Rites and Symbols of Initiation, The Mysteries of Rebirth, but I'm also going to draw from another book called The Feminine and Fairy Tales, a book I've quoted from a lot in this particular space. And that book is just I'm going to read something from that book that's just going to back up uh, the points that's made in this book regarding the initiation of girls.
Mhm.
Um, Regarding the initiation of girls, we may note three things. First, female puberty initiations are less widespread than boys' initiations, although they are already documented in the ancient stages of cultures. Um, Second, the rites are decidedly less developed than those for boys' initiations. And third, girls' initiations are individual. This last characteristic has had important consequences. It is obviously explained by the fact that female initiation begins with the first menstruation. This physiological symptom, the sign of sexual maturity, compels a break. The young girl's removal from her familiar world. She is immediately isolated, separated from the community, which reminds us of the boy's separation from his mother and segregation. In either sex, then initiation begins with a break, a rupture. But there is a difference. For girls, the segregation takes place in each case immediately after the first menstruation. Hence, it is individual. Whereas for boys, initiation is collective, occurring for all at about the same time of puberty. The individual character of the young girl's segregation, which takes place on the appearance of the signs of menstruation, explains the comparatively small number of initiatory rites. But one thing must not be overlooked. The length of segregation varies from culture to culture, from 3 days, as in Australia and India, to 20 months in New Zealand, or even several years in Cambodia. In other words, the girls do in the end form a group, and then their initiation is performed collectively under the direction of their older female relatives, as in India, or of old women in Africa. These tutoresses instruct them in the secrets of sexuality and fertility, and teach them the customs of the tribe and at least some of its religious traditions, those accessible to women.
Mm.
The education thus given is general, but its essence is religious. It consists in a revelation of the sacrality of women. The girl is ritually prepared to assume her specific mode of being, that is to become a creatress, and at the same time is taught her responsibilities in society and in the cosmos, responsibilities which among primitives are always religious in nature. So from the very outset, they're saying, uh, uh, it, Iliad is saying that the responsibility of teaching girls the responsibility of their bodies, specifically post their first menstruation, is the responsibility of women. It is not something that they're supposed to learn from a magazine, a TV show, porn, or anything like that.
Facebook.
Their responsibility, the responsibility of them teaching the power of their body once they have that first menstruation, is critical, because now she has the biological capability of carrying a life. So obviously that's a new form of power that that girl has.
You're not a little girl anymore.
But she doesn't fully understand that power.
No.
So she needs elder wisdom to initiate her into her femininity and her womanhood. So that's where the rights come in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see females out here being irresponsible with their bodies, make no mistake about it. It's because there have not been women in their families. When people, because see, a lot of people love to try to hide social phenomena in a social context. But we got to remember, things that exist in the social are coming from individuals, from families first.
Yep. Comes from somewhere.
It contributes to the social phenomenon. So we had a time in this country, in our group, where teenage pregnancy was a real big problem.
Dude, remember we was talking about this, man. Remember how many chicks was pregnant in high school back in the day?
Yes. And that is a clear sign that the women have not done their job. Because they're supposed to teach them, because now what they're projecting out through the menstruation, they're projecting out a sacred power that has to be harnessed properly. So she doesn't go out there and do something that can set her back for the rest of her life, which I'm going to read something that is actually going to speak to that specifically
All right.
in terms of girls having sex when they're not supposed to, instead of when they're psychically ready to,
Ready to, yeah.
and the devastation and the damage that can incur from that. As we have noted, female initiatory rites, at least so far as they are now known to us, are less dramatic than the rites for boys. The important element in them is segregation. This takes place either in the forest, as among the Swahili, or in a special cabin, as among many North American tribes, in Brazil, in the New Hebrides, in the Marshall Islands, but also among the Vedas and among South African peoples. And speaking of boys' puberty rites, we refer to the complex symbolism of the forest and the hut. A symbolism which is at once that of the beyond, hence of death, and that of the darkness of gestation in the mother's womb. The symbolism of darkness is also emphasized in ceremonial segregation of girls, where they are isolated in a dark corner of the house, and among many peoples are forbidden to see the sun, a taboo. His explanation lies in the mystical connection between the moon and the wind. Elsewhere, they are forbidden to let themselves be touched by anyone or to move. A prohibition peculiar to South American societies forbids them to touch the ground. The girl novices spend their days and nights in hammocks. Naturally, there are some dietary restrictions almost everywhere, and among some people, the girl novices wear a special costume. No less essential than the segregation that constitutes the first rite of initiation is the ceremony that concludes the process. Among some coast tribes of northern Australia, the girl undergoing her first menstruation is isolated in a cabin for 3 days, during which time she is subjected to various dietary taboos. She is then painted with ochre and richly decorated by the women. At the climax burnt rites, all the women escort her at dawn to a freshwater stream or lagoon. After this ritual bath, so we're seeing ritual purification, something that's always been a part of initiation, like when people get baptized in church.
We're baptized in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah. After this ritual bath, she is led in procession to the main camp amid a certain amount of acclamation and is socially accepted as a woman. I'm going to read that again, y'all. After this ritual bath, she is led in procession to the main camp amid a certain amount of acclamation and is socially accepted as a woman.
No longer a little girl.
This is what y'all need to realize. Initiation is what made you a man and a woman. Proper initiation. That's what it was. That's what it's supposed to be. And that's what it still shall be. Burnt observed that before the mission was established in Arnhem Land, the ritual was more complex and included songs. Modern ethnologists sometimes meet only with institutions that are on the verge of disappearing. In the case that we are studying, however, the essentials have been preserved. For the procession and the acclamation by the women at the end of the ceremony are a characteristic feature of female initiations. In some places, the segregation terminates with a collective dance, and this custom is characteristic, especially of the early cultivators. Among these same paleo-agriculturalists, the girls who have been initiated are exhibited and made much of, or they visit the houses of the settlement in procession to receive gifts. Other external signs likewise mark the end of initiation. For example, tattooing or blackening the teeth. Some ethnologists, however, consider these custom innovations due to the influence of totemic uh, cultures. The
like
essential,
the whatchamacallits, like those Tongan chicks.
yes,
They get the tattoos and shit. Sometimes they get them on their face, or they'll do them on their arms and stuff like that. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah. It's like an actual. It's the sim when they get them. It's to symbolize something. Yeah.
yes, right. The essential rite then is the solemn exhibition of the girl to the entire community. It is a ceremonial announcement that the mystery has been accomplished. The girl is shown to be adult, that is, to be ready to assume the mode of being proper to woman. I'm gonna read that again. The girl is shown to be adult. And adult means that is to be ready to assume the mode of being proper to woman. Whenever you, whenever, when there's something that we used to hear, um, we don't hear this anymore because we got too many old females doing the same thing. But when we were younger, there is something that we used to hear from older women regarding younger women when they acted out things that suggested they were sexually available. And they would call these females loose. But what we need to understand is that when we see loose girls in the culture, is because they have learned from loose women. See, they never told the full story.
It's learned.
They tried to make it seem, and this has been very dangerous for the stereotype of black girls, which plays into why there are so many black girls who are missing and nobody cares. Because the assumption is that many times black girls who are missing are assumed to go missing because they were out there trying to have sex too early when they weren't supposed to. And even if that is true, the question is, who did they learn it from?
I,
Who did
I
they learn
I
it from?
know I know it wasn't their caring, loving father who said, "Oh yeah, sweetie, go on out there and do that."
Because
Right?
I can promise you, ain't no father that's around
No,
his
no,
daughter
he
with
didn't do
that
that.
bullshit.
That would no, no,
Ain't no father ever gonna be with that. I
no.
don't care if he's black,
That's
Chinese, Korean,
that's
Indian,
what I
it
mean.
don't
It's
matter.
just like no. That didn't happen. That's for damn sure.
And what happened was many of these girls, through watching their mothers be hoes, they were teaching their daughters to make themselves sexually available at earlier ages. They were teaching them that.
Well, when they themselves may have had them, you know, 15, 16, 17, right?
All right.
Who is she then? Well, who she would be would actually be a responsible adult saying, "Hey, don't do what I did."
Right.
That's who that would be. But since we're not going to do that, right? I'm gonna teach you the virtues. So if you're gonna get out here and do it, well, at least get something for it.
Right. Um,
Oftentimes though, man, that comes at a cost. Typically, life. We hear about it all the time. All these chicks that are getting out here just being loosey as being loose, right? And then next thing you know, they're also then being sent to the upper room because they're just out here.
mhm. Yes. Yes. That, that's a that has been one of the most dehumanizing things that previous generations of women did to their daughters, and even to a certain extent, present, probably more so now, um, did to their daughters, is sell the world the idea and this has been something that has been promulgated by Black females, putting out the idea that Black girls are just naturally loose and overly sexual. That's not true.
It's learned behavior.
That's not true for any girl in the world.
It's learned behavior.
It's learned behavior, period. If you put a girl in a family with a loving mother and father, she's typically going to grow up to be a loving woman that wants to have the same thing. She's typically going to want to have a loving husband that loves her like her daddy loved her mama. Because it's learned behavior. Likewise, if you show your daughter that it's okay to have multiple men running in and out of your bedroom, you're showing her that that behavior is okay.
It's learned behavior.
And she's going to more than likely do the same thing.
My mama did it. My auntie did it. My cousins be doing it. I don't think about it.
Yep.
It's just all around them. Oh, this must be normal.
Yep. And that's what a lot of women, you know, I'm reading stuff out, you know, for men to know, but this section right here is really for women.
No, that's what I'm saying. We covering both.
We covering both of them. So y'all can't say, oh man, he's just one-sided, you don't care. No. Rod's balanced.
Nah.
So y'all would know, like,
yeah, we flip the mirror up, man. Both, it's both.
So y'all can see, I care about the well-being of Black girls, because my man right here has a Black daughter, and we have no interest in seeing her be misused inappropriately by some knucklehead Negro who came from a broken family background, who projects the image that he's a man, but he's a boy.
Yeah. We ain't going for that.
No, absolutely not.
We're not going for that, man. No.
And your mothers should have wanted the same thing for you. They shouldn't have took you to Planned Parenthood to get birth control at 16, 15, and 16.
That wasn't what that you were supposed to have. What was that, like a quinceañera or the other thing? You were supposed to have that whole ritual of woman, that celebration of womanhood, right? That was supposed, yes, that was what was supposed to happen.
I see it all the time here in Texas.
That's what I'm saying.
We go out and we see a Hispanic girl, quinceañera, I just out there happy, you know, family.
You see how they're dressed,
beautiful dress, all that. See
all that. It's a whole ritual.
It's a whole ritual.
Yes, and it symbolizes something. And listen, man, when you don't have these type of when you don't do these things, just like you said, the initiation, man, like when you don't do these things, right, it doesn't implant into their psyche. It doesn't implant into them, right, that this symbolizes something. I don't go back from here. I change from this point forward.
A Black girl's initiation into womanhood should not be her having sex before she is psychologically ready. She can be physically capable. That doesn't mean she's, from a psyche standpoint, ready. And I'm going to read something that, after I read this last part, that's going to play exactly into that. And I'm going to finish this presentation with that, because we need to understand how critical this is. Many of these so-called moms are basically leaving their daughters out here for the slaughter. And then trying to blame men in general as if men are bad, as if we up here saying we support that shit. No, we don't. We don't support none of that shit. And you best believe if my brother Complex said to me and said a couple years from now some young dude disrespected his daughter, I'll be
Man,
like,
look, coming to see him.
what's up? We getting strapped up, where we going?
We coming to see him, man. Let's go.
Where we going? Say no more. I'm there. Because if something tragically happened to him, we would have to be in his stead. We would have to be there. And a lot of you women need to understand that's what a lot of y'all miss when your mom was out there being loose with her womb and getting pregnant by anybody she wanted to, and you not having a father around. The truth, you know what your true birth control is? It's your father. That's your true birth control.
Talk about it.
You don't need no pills when you got a father.
Pills is the solution your mom comes up with.
Because throughout the and don't make no mistake about it. I was listening to a video by Farrakhan some months ago, and he was talking about this was in I think Iran or something. He was talking about one of the countries, and this dude married this chick from a family without her family's permission. Now he married her, but he married her without the family's permission. He said that male family members hunted his ass down and killed him.
Like, nigga, you know better.
That's how much they took that as a dishonor.
Yeah, you know better. Well, he knew better. That's the thing.
That's how fathers feel about the honor of their daughters.
Right.
When they feel a man has violated the honor that they have built over time, raising her to be a certain type of woman.
And you just gonna roll through here.
You just gonna roll through there. Because a mother teaches a daughter how to be a woman. But a father teaches a daughter how to value herself as a woman. Two critical differences.
You know what?
But first, your mother has to teach you how to be a proper woman. That comes first.
Let me. Can I just give you like a quick little anecdote? What happened today, man?
Go.
All right, check this out, dude. This morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I think I was texting you this. We were texting this morning, right? And I was just like, "Hey, man, well, look, let's shop a little bit later. Game plan this." And so my daughter came outside and she was like, "Daddy, I want to get some donuts." Now, dude, for those of y'all who don't know, man, this is a thing. Okay, this is a thing, right? Saturday mornings, little girls typically want their daddies to go get them some donuts. Don't ask me what this shit's about. It's a thing. Okay. So she was like, "Daddy, I want to get some donuts." I was like, "All right." So we get in the car, we go to the donut store. Now, yo, peep this shit. So we get to the donut store. This is white dude. He's walking up. He's looking at his phone. So, he gets to the door before me. So he opens the door. Right? I was like, "Oh man, appreciate you, bro. Thank you." And so we walk through, and my daughter tells him, and I said, "Thank you, man." And old boy goes, "Hey man, I was raised right." That's the first thing he says, right? "Hey man, I was raised right." I turn around, look at my daughter. I said, she's like, "Thank you." Right? And then so he came inside. I said, "Hey bro, man, hey, just go ahead, man. You was in front of me, man. Go ahead." Right? So now I extended the gratuity back to him. Right? So he goes and orders the donuts. My daughter's picking up, she's getting her little donuts. You know what old boy does? He pays for them.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then, so we had a bro moment.
Wow.
Right? Well, we got to talking because he was like, "Hey, man, look, he was just like, you know how it is. We're men. Our daughters want donuts Saturday morning. Right? We're doing what we got to do out here. Right?" And, he was just like, I just noticed that, she said thank you when I held the door open for her. And I said, "Hey man, listen, look, I want her to respect. I want her to, I'm hey man, look, I'm just doing what I got to do, man. You know what I'm saying? And and it was just like we just gave each other fist bump. And I just said, "Hey man, appreciate you." I gave him my number. I was like, "Hey bro, look, you need an electric bike or something, man, holla at me." You know, I was just like, "Yo," you know what I mean? But even in that moment right there, my daughter saw like what it is that men will do for her if she's just being her natural self.
Hmm.
I explained this to her in the car on the way home. I said, "Do you know why that man bought you those donuts?" I had a dub in my pocket, dude. The donuts was only like $2.50. I said, "But do you know why that man did that for you?" And she said, "Well, he was nice." I said, "Well, no, no." I was like, "No, he's a kind gentleman." I said, "But why did he do that for you?" She said, "Why?" I said, "Thank you." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Look, just understand something, babe. When you are who it is that you are always meant to be." I said, "Look, men are they're gonna respond in kind because we're gonna be who we're meant to be."
Right.
Right? So I told her I understand that, and she just kind of smiled. I said, "Listen, men will always do that for you. As long as you be who it is that you're supposed to be, that's the kind of treatment you're gonna get in life, bro. Listen, she ain't gonna forget that one.
Mhm.
She's not gonna forget it. But
And, he,
it's
and
some
it's
kind of
probably
lessons, man. You need. It was men. It was an
remember
engagement
what he
between her
said
dad
though.
and another man. You know what I'm saying?
Remember what he said. He said I was raised right, and
Right.
and one of the things that probably um, encouraged him to do that was his appreciation for her showing appreciation because he's probably held the door open for many females and they never said thank
He
you.
said nothing. Right. But when he another man with his daughter and his daughter knows to do the right thing. Right. Men respect that shit.
Men respect it. They respect it. Yep. 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 Yep.
You good, bro? That's it. I meant to tell you about that earlier on the phone, man. That happened this morning.
I want to make sure I covered everything. Mm, I just want to make sure I got all the right parts. Mm, mm.
And man, I kind of been ignoring the chat. I don't know if we have much activity. I think people just coming through saying peace and everything.
Mm.
Let me shout everybody out real quick. Let's see, we have Miss Random Woman in the house. We had Craig the Tech Guy come through. Shango Zulu, what's going on? That Game Changer, he came through. Toya, Afro Sci-Fiz, yes. What's going on, man? Great show, guys. Thank you. We got Royston in the house. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? D-Rock, what's going on? Bronze, salute. What's going on, Zone? American Negro, perfect timing. What's going on, man? Welcome to all those who have joined us this evening. Want to shout y'all out. Bro, we got anything left on the table? We coming up on
Yeah.
the third hour mark. What you got?
Yeah, I'm about to finish it out with this part and then this last little part, and we'll be done.
Okay.
To sum up what I was reading about initiating rights for girls, um, he says, for boys, initiation represents an introduction to a world that is not immediate, the world of spirit and culture. For girls, on the contrary, initiation involves a series of revelations concerning the secret meaning of a phenomenon that is apparently natural, the visible sign of their sexual maturity. The purpose of initiation by elder women for younger girls is to teach them the sacred responsibility of their womb. That is primary focus of initiation for girls. And like I said earlier, when we see younger women because we can see older women on Instagram, 30s, 40s, 50s, hell, sometimes even 60s. Because you got some 60-year-old women that got nice bodies too,
Mm-hmm.
and they're showing how much they view the woman's body in terms of it not being something considered sacred. So quite naturally, when old women are showing that their body is not sacred, younger women are not going to think that. I have this saying that I say all the time. The only thing worse than young hoes is old hoes. That's what I say. And it's like the old dude that's in the club at 50. It's like, dude, come on, pops. Let it go.
Man, yeah, come on, old head. What you
Like, come on,
what you
pops.
what
Let
you
it go.
doing in here, old head? Come on, man.
Seeing
What you doing in there, old school?
seeing a dude in 50s and 60s with his hat on
With
backwards,
a fitted,
with a, you know what I'm saying, with some Air Force Ones on.
like
It's like, come on, fam.
like damn, man, you still stuck on them G Unit days, ain't you?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what women need to understand. There's a part in this book, The Feminine Fairy Tales, I'm about to read pretty quickly, that talks about why the lack of proper initiation into the power of a womb post menstruation for a girl. She says, one of the ways in which the feminine world defends and establishes itself in its own right is by creating a feminine paradise. You see this sometimes in women's clubs where the women sit together and talk about their little concerns, ignoring or excluding the man's world. My fiance is in some women's group, and she has been very skeptical of trying to be open to female bonding
Mm-hmm.
because of being throughout her life attacked mostly by women. But I can tell since she's been in this group, and she's actually going to be featured in a conference that they're going to have soon as a speaker, how happy she has been being connected to a group of women. It has meant a lot to her to be able to bond with other women, to have women being willing to open doors for her. Surprisingly, one of these women is an older Black woman. And this older Black woman who's in the healthcare field she has been really pouring a lot of her knowledge into her. And she said to her, I got a lot of knowledge in healthcare that I've been wanting to give to other Black women. She said, but they ain't been able to connect with them. They a lot of Black, just not interested. She was like, so anything that I could do, to help you, I'm going to do, because I just feel like it's my duty. I understand what this industry is, and I want to impart some of that wisdom into you. Which, just like men need male bonding and male camaraderie, women need female bonding as well. You see this sometimes in women's clubs where the women sit together and talk about their little concerns, ignoring or excluding the man's world. You can see it also in families where the mother and daughters get together and play among themselves, scorning the father and brothers a little, just in jest, saying that men must get out of the kitchen, men are big babies or fools. In the same way that men have clubs to reinforce their self-esteem and role in society, there is no reason why women should not have a parallel in which they can assert their femininity in their own right and realize their differences from men and their different needs. There are primitive tribes where young men are initiated into men's secret societies and young women into women's secret societies. The men learn certain men's arts, such as speaking in council and the use of weapons. And the women learn weaving and certain feminine arts and are instructed in feminine adult behavior and love magic. In Greece, there was a cult of the goddess Artemis of Baron, who was a bear goddess. Young girls of good families were given to serve the goddess from the 12th to 16th year. In the awkward time when girls are just as difficult to keep at home as boys, they were given into the service of the goddess. They behaved like tomboys, neither watched nor cared for themselves in any way, spoke roughly, and were called bear cubs. Thus, the bear, thus the bear cub societies of the mother goddess served to reinforce the feminine under the veil of protection. In this way, the feminine personality could develop unharmed by the problem of sexuality and go into life with a certain amount of maturity, gaining insecurity under the bearskin. Otherwise, often only half developed girls would fall into sexual life, and at 30 would be old and worn out.
Oh,
Naturally, such women cannot develop anymore mentally, for the vital substance is exhausted. They are just tired, old women.
Jesus Christ, man. That wasn't Rael's words. He was reading from something.
This is from Marie Louise von France, Feminine, The Feminine in Fairy Tales.
Okay, so on the record, this is a woman who wrote that.
When men talk about the wall, these are the type of women they're talking about.
This is a female psychologist who was an understudy of Carl Jung, telling you the same shit.
She's saying that what we see in girls when they're tomboys is actually a psychic way for them to actually protect their virtue.
You
Do y'all really understand?
yeah, I was gonna say because it's like okay, masculinity is a symbol of protection, right? Provision, protection, all that. So I guess what you would have to, I guess what a young girl would have to do in the absence of it is actually project it out, right? To protect the feminine part because there's no actual masculine protection there. So she has to engender it to a level to where she's actually protecting her true self. Am I saying this correctly?
Yes. Um, the 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 world of women is supposed to it's almost kind of like it's supposed to be like a wall almost where the women are supposed to learn, the young girls are supposed to learn what their responsibilities are to themselves and to their group. And then they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be taught the feminine attributes that help them develop their femininity. And so what she's saying right here is that when these girls go out here under the direction of their mothers and have sex irresponsibly, she's saying these types of women really cannot develop anymore mentally, usually.
Yeah, yeah. They
Like
stop.
your mental development can be stunted at 15
Yeah, through sex
for the rest of your life.
for the rest of your life. Yeah, I mean, dude, you've seen this, dude. You've seen like women who are like they're in their 40s, but you swear to God, it's like, dude, this chick literally has her mind from like as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and usually it's some sort of like sex based experience, dude, that kind of locks him in,
Yep.
or oftentimes it's let's just say early pregnancy, right? They have like that early pregnancy, dude. They keep that mind, they get locked in right there. It like that's where they stop.
I
and I've
remember.
seen it.
I remember I told a female one time, I want to, I want to appreciate you for more than just your body. Man, she started crying. She started crying.
Mm.
She started crying. Wrong woman. She started crying. And she said, I had never heard a man say that to me. And
That means they
what they don't understand is that unlike for us, sex don't affect us emotionally. Sex for women affects women emotionally. There's one woman who's a biologist said there's no such thing as consequence free sex for women. There's no such thing. It has a consequence, even if it's just emotionally.
You said this was a female biologist who said this.
Yes, she said this.
I just want to make sure like we get this shit on the record. Like these are
Yes.
women who be saying this shit.
Yes, Biggie Thorne. She said there's no such thing as women having consequence free sex. And she's talked about the effect of women, things like women having multiple sex partners too, and how damaging that is.
Oh shit.
So again, for me, I like to use these women's sources because females can't come accusing, oh, you just saying this stuff because you're a man and you just hate women and all that.
Well, I'm a man. I'm just reading a book that was written by a woman, though.
You know what I'm saying? So but that's and I'm saying this because I have no interest in seeing when a white girl go missing, they damn near shutting down the state to find a white girl. Black girl go missing. Oh, she probably was out there trying to be fast and loose anyway. So whatever. When have you ever seen any pro-black men and women, but specifically pro-black men go looking for a missing black girl?
Like never.
We've never seen it.
Never.
And there's plenty of them missing.
Oh man, I see. You see them little. I see them on. Sometimes people post them on their community tabs on YouTube and shit. It'd be like this poster of a little girl. Last seen.
When I was in college, I used to catch the train to school. Come downtown and was constantly seeing pictures on telephone poles.
Yeah.
Keisha Williams, 14,
13, 15, 13.
If you see anybody looking for black girls, it's usually gonna be some white folks.
Right, because they're the ones that's over here trying to hunt down traffickers and shit.
Yep. That's because, like I said, when the mothers have been selling the notion, there used to be a time in American history where black females were considered the opposite of loose. They were not considered easy.
I don't do that, right? In quotes, right?
The women who used to be considered easy used to be white.
White chicks. Well, wasn't that always like the charge that brothers would get? Why you mess with white? Oh, you mess white chicks because they easy.
They're easy, right? That's what I'm saying. But now it's the opposite. Black girls. We're talking about girls now. We're not even talking about girls. We're talking about girls. Women spreading the idea that black girls are naturally loose. Therefore, they are not worthy if they go missing to be searched for and rescued. That's saying something.
Yeah, it's saying
something.
Here's one other part to this. Speaking of initiation, a lot of young black girls, and this is what I'm saying. I watch mine like a hawk, right? Because I got to be mindful not only of the boys but other little girls, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but a lot of the younger black females are they dip in both pools, so to speak.
Hmm.
Okay, they doing both. They're doing the most with both.
Right.
Okay, where are they getting that shit from? What the entire hell? What are they? What are they being? What are they? Okay, what are their elders initiating them into? Because it's madness out here, and I'm just saying, man. Like you, like where do you get it from?
Bro, that's
Ain't no hetero black men doing this, bro. I'm sorry.
no,
Let's just, let's put it on the wood.
no. See, that's why this conversation was very necessary because when you have people that are constantly out here and critiquing, but they're not really researching and looking at the information, they're out here. They're out here just basically telling people to think in a way that doesn't resolve anything, you know. And so, like I said before earlier, a psyche food fight. Well, these men out here and they don't care about living. You can't listen to this stream and say, "Man, the dudes don't care about black women. They don't care. They don't care about black girls." You can't say that.
Okay.
I mean, you're raising a black daughter yourself. That's you know. I mean,
I gave you the anecdote, man, about the donut store this morning, man. Me and the white boy, right? Both. Look, I say white boy because I'm kind of giving the context.
context, right?
But the reality is that we were men.
Period.
That's it. And what we recognize is that we both doing the right thing.
Right. I mean, when it comes to men, I saw a story. I think it was here in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been somewhere else, where a black man he came to the rescue of this old white lady who was being mugged in the parking lot. I think it was by a white dude too.
Hmm.
And he came out there and bum rushed the dude and knocked him off of her, and dude ran away. And I think the mayor of the city council gave him like key to the city, and really celebrated him, and him and a woman reunited, and hug. She just gave him a big old hug, and it was just like because he just came to her defense as a man, like she really respected that. Like that wasn't no racial shit. That
Man,
was just
right
like,
is right, is wrong is wrong, man. That's how I was
right,
raised, dude. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
period, point blank. So again, that's why this understanding of this psyche thing is really really critical in how throughout the generations of time how properly the psyche was developed. This had nothing to do with you getting to 18 or being, oh, now I figure out how to be a man at 30, 35. Like, no, you didn't even have a choice in the matter. You were going to go through this initiation or they were going to put you out the tribe. Like, that's what happened. Something that a lot of people don't like when we talk things like that. Like, you know what? Y'all want to be on that stupid stuff? Cool. We just gonna separate. Then it becomes like, oh, y'all think y'all better than us, and y'all just want to turn your back on black people. And it's like, no, y'all want to be stupid. Y'all go over there and be stupid on your own.
Girl, be
Down the
stupid,
time.
man. Man, not over here.
Don't expect us to carry y'all while y'all out there having a party and being stupid and silly and all that other dumb shit. Carry yourself on that stupidity. But see, that's the problem. Stupidity needs productivity to carry it. That's the issue. That's what it's always been. Non-productive people have generally been carried
Those are the
by
few,
productive people.
the few carrying the many.
Right. And then them turning around and saying, well, we don't like the way they talk.
We don't like the way you're carrying us.
Yeah, you don't like the way you talk because you talk with just a little too much confidence in yourself and esteem in yourself. Like, so Yeah, we'll take your money, nigga, but we don't like you to get too full of yourself. Man, shut your ass
Yeah,
up.
shut your ass up.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it is. That's the reason why you have black male content creators trying to block and stifle the growth of channels like this. Because the more channels like this grow, the less their channels are going to grow. Because that's going to mean more more men are recognizing that they ain't really talking about shit that's really going to help them, and that's really what it comes down to. Um, we've been hitting caps in these spaces for the last couple of months. We've been exposing a lot of this stuff, and because for a lot of these people are living off of this. They're living off the food fight, literally. We're not engaged in a food fight. We don't beef. I've said my piece to people, and as far as like the airwaves are concerned, I'm done with it. Like
Yeah, what's
I'm
that?
done with it. I
It's
don't
out
have any. Yeah, I don't have any need to address these people anymore. You know what I'm saying? If these folks got something to say to me, shit,
No, where
go.
they can pull up. We've never been shy in
Yeah,
saying that we will always provide the link
yeah. You
for
say
for,
if you say
for
if
any
you
kind
say
of
I'm
initiative.
wrong, if you say I'm wrong, hell, start a stream on your channel and I'll pull up.
Or come here.
Either way.
Once again, I always notice they never come here.
Yep. I'm wrong where I lied. Show me where I'm wrong. I lied at. I'll pull up any day. But see, that means you gonna have to stand on your shit too. And
Uh
you better have an arsenal to stand on.
oh.
You
Trust.
better have a stockade.
Yeah, you better have. Yeah, I'm just saying, you better be holding something, man.
You better be holding. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
just don't. I better not show up,
Right,
and you just gonna give me your opinion.
right. And the reality is they don't have anything to stand on. At the end of the day, I told you before, you know, you would think that like we trying to steal something from cats. Like we ain't charged nobody for 1 cent for any of this
We ain't
information.
accepted one goddamn cash app ever, dude. No
I
super
have
chat.
had dudes try to, yo man, let me cash out you. Nah, man, no, no. I, I'm, I was given information at times in my life where I really needed it, but nobody charged it for me. I'm not gonna
Pay it
charge it.
forward, man.
I'm like, yo, you trying to be free as a man and get out here and get on your purpose, man. I can't charge you for that. Like, yo, that's men who were initiated into their manhood by elder men. They weren't charged for that. They knew it was their duty to give it to them.
Yep.
Period and point blank. It's our duty as men, regardless of what kind of home you came from, broken home, your father wasn't there, your mama treated your dad like crap,
None of
ran
that shit matters.
away. It don't matter. What he didn't give to you, we got it and we trying to give it to you. And that's all it is. Like it ain't trying to beat some niggas at a YouTube competition. We don't know these fools personally. I don't give a damn at the end of the day. If they on that little boy stuff, I don't respect it. And I will always stand on that. Other than that, it ain't no beef because ain't nothing to beef about.
Ain't nothing to beef
We,
about.
we, we better. That's the bottom line.
I mean,
We
I
better.
ain't
Ain't nothing
gonna
to beef about.
apologize for it. I ain't gonna apologize for it.
Bottom line.
I ain't gonna apologize for it.
But that's it, man. That's Psyche, man.
Yeah. No, hey man, you know what?
I told you I had to bring it, man. I told you.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna hit the playback here. I'm gonna go grab me a brew and I'm gonna hit the playback. You already know I'm gonna hit you tomorrow, man. Like there's gonna be some shit. I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, look, you said this, We're gonna have to do a live stream on this. I'm gonna listen to this shit. I'm gonna like literally, dude. I'm gonna throw my shoes on when we finish up. I'm gonna go grab a brew and I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna catch these gems, dude. I'm gonna like, hey, dude, like go to this minute, go here. Right? It's gonna be some follow up shit. Trust, because we still got to do one on initiation. Like we hit on it, but I think that's a thing, man. Like even talking about different types of initiation and shit.
Oh yeah, I got some more. I got an arsenal of
You got
stuff
some
on
on
that,
that?
boy. Yeah,
All right, well
yeah,
then,
yeah.
all right,
I've
let's
been
plan that one.
loading. I've been loading because before I even came across this rites of passage stuff, I've been talking about it for years. And I also been talking about the manosphere and how it can be a sacred space in terms of a safe space for black men, particularly the younger one, but any
Yep.
man that, because manhood is evolving. So manhood is about evolving, and you can start out in one thing in life and say, you know what, I want to make a change. Like we talked about when we seen that brother, when Mike V was on somebody's panel, and he was talking about,
Yeah,
he was
brother,
53.
he's like 50, he's like 53 or something
He's
like
like
that.
53 and wanted to get into tech, So, and he, in this day and age and all the technology and medicine we got out here, 53 is not old, especially if you're taking care of yourself, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So he had, probably a good 20, 30 good more years left, you know what I'm saying, where he could do some stuff.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, he wanted to switch, and that just let me know, like, you know, as a man, he didn't feel like he was too good. Like, man, them niggas don't know shit. I'm older than them. And he was like, nah, man, let me get that information. You know what I'm saying? So, because it doesn't matter, if somebody's younger than you. If somebody younger than me and they got the information I can use, man, I'm gonna use that shit. Like, I don't give a damn how old you are. Too many old Negroes. I'm trying to keep it PC. In this space, are trying to live off of trying to live off of relics of the past. They're trying to live off of civil rights, and at the end of the day, man, civil rights can't address the issues that we face presently. So you need different type of information.
Yeah, I
Because
was gonna say those were problems of that time, man. And
right, we don't have colored water fountains.
yeah, I was gonna say if you couldn't execute on it at that time, at a certain point you're gonna have to just understand that, like, society's kind of moved on in certain regards. Like you said, they don't have like water color colored water fountains and shit like that. That's not matter of fact. Now you can just call yourself a woman and then go walk into a woman's bathroom.
Right,
Right. We actually reverse this shit.
right, right.
So that's a whole other that's a whole other lane though.
Right. And that's the key at this point. Like, people better be glad that they live in an information innovation age, and you live in an age where you can come from the worst type of family possible and still become a doctor in this country just because you decided to go for a different type of information, not only from a family perspective but from a professional perspective. And there used to be a time where the debts of your parents will pass down to you. Thankfully, we don't live in times like that anymore. And you literally can chart your own path. The truth of the matter is, your family really can only show you things from a basic standpoint, like how to be socially, how to carry yourself, which is important. It's absolutely critical. But in terms,
Unless you are one of them families where they've been practicing some craft for generations, and they're bringing you in to take the shit over.
right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
But other than that, man, you have to you live in a society that is, I mean one of the problems now is it's a whole bunch of information, and so you got to learn how to filter what's good for you and what's not good for you. Men and women, I would implore them to, um, before you listen to these channels in these spaces, you got to really ask yourself, is this shit really helping my life, or is this shit just telling me what I want to hear? Because usually when people tell you what you want to hear, it's usually because they're trying to get over on you in some kind of fashion. So you got to really question these type of things. And I know some people ain't gonna like that shit because it'll mess up their hustle, but I don't give a shit. I don't care. So,
Hey
but
man, every time niggas get out here and say we don't do what we do, you fucking with our hustle. So we're gonna call it a spade on that one, man. We
yeah,
leave it right there, bro. And
yeah.
you know, like I said, hey, I'm about to catch the playback in a couple minutes, dude. I'm gonna holler at you in the morning, man.
All right, man. It was good doing this stream with you. We talked about it for a while. I'm glad we got a chance to do it. I've been working on it the last 2 days.
Yeah,
Hard
good, man.
body.
No, this is now we do three and a
Yeah,
half. No, 3.5 solid, bro. Real
yeah,
talk.
yeah. I put this together in like 2 days. I put
Nah,
this
three and a
together in
half
two
solid.
days, man. So
No
I
fluff.
really
There's no
wanted to
fluff.
do this, and for the people who came, appreciate y'all coming through. For the people who watch it in the future, hope it was good for you, and learn something, grow, evolve your mind, and always just remember, no one man has all the answers. This world is filled with smart and intelligent people. We consider ourselves very intelligent people here, and we're just giving you a slice of what we know, but even we don't have all the answers. So just keep searching.
All right, all right, all right. And hey, man, I just want to appreciate you for coming through, bro. You already know, man. You already know.
It's all
Um,
good.
and I appreciate everybody for coming through, listening in tonight. Hit the like button, share this with folks that appreciate some heavy mental content, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Ice wall, Lord, killers quick to water watch. Can you see?